Hey everyone, welcome to Download Podcast. Today we're going to be talking about the Masters of the Universe movie of 2026. It just came out. My guest with me, of course, Geekstorian,
Hello.
Tylord,
Hello.
Zombie,
Coming to you live from Avion.
Dad.
I already did. I saluted, did my Benny Hill. I just premature salute.
What did you guys think of it?
Uh, I always do this. I'm just going to go ahead and go first. So I, I get impatient. It's just sort of how I am. So coming from the background that I have, I guess we'll do a little bit of background on our sort of
Yeah,
experience with He-Man over the years
that sounds
before we go
good.
into the movie, because it's kind of pertinent to how you may view the movie, right?
Hmm.
So I'm not the hugest lore junkie. I did really enjoy the cartoon. I can go back and unironically watch the Funimation cartoon. So I quite enjoyed that. I did watch a bit of the 2002 one that came out. I didn't catch as much as that as I want because it kind of had a weird time. But what I saw, I really liked, and I liked the world building they tried to do with that one, right? Was not a fan of the 1980s movie. I saw that way later. I didn't see it as a kid. And a buddy of mine was like, no, 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 this one's great. And I'm like, we might need to talk about your definition of
uh,
great a little bit. Because I'm not sure I'm quite as on board with this interpretation of He-Man, right? Um, I saw the first Kevin Smith series he did. It was okay. I liked where they were taking some of it. I didn't love where they were taking some of it. And I thought the kid version that Netflix was doing had a lot of promise. And then I lost track of that. So,
Hmm.
but I didn't really follow the comics. So there's a lot of lore dump and stuff like that in between all this stuff that I don't have. And maybe that was a good thing because it was seemed so focused on the Funimation part of He-Man that I kind of, while walking in with a lot of trepidation from a lot of the trailers where it seemed like, it was going to be, him, her man instead of He Man, and kind of nervous that they were going to do something weird with it and that they weren't necessarily going to respect the material, was refreshingly surprised when I was thoroughly enjoying myself with the movie. Right. And honestly, not being a Jared Leto fan, man, you probably will never see this, but my God, man, I've never been happier to see you on screen in my life. Every time Skeletor came out, I had like the biggest grin and was having the best time. He absolutely, and I do not like him in anything else outside of this. I've tried, but he nailed it on this role. He nailed it. It really, in my mind, pulled the movie together
mhm,
and made it something pretty special, right? At least that's my
mhm,
initial opinion. But I'll
mhm.
stop there so other people can talk. I will shut up now.
No, it's okay. We're waiting for Zombie to come back. But Tylord, I'll let you go
Okay.
next.
Okay. So, yeah. So He-Man and Masters of the Universe. I'm pretty sure that's my first love. You could ask my mom or my grandparents. They couldn't stand it. My mom didn't mind it, but that was probably my first love. Like when you were like 5 or 6 or whatever when I first found out about it. But uh, my family and relatives would buy me all of the toys. I'd watch the cartoons. I don't really have much memory of like in specific episodes when I was a kid, but I remember I would watch it all the time. So I loved that. Loved He-Man. Loved the action figures. Loved the filmation show. I never really got to see She-Ra much, but I did see, and I didn't see that weird one that came out in the late '80s. That other cartoon, like the New Adventures of He-Man. I never saw that. I kind of want to go back and revisit it. But the movie actually, I was kind of losing interest around that time, '87. My buddy and I went and saw that Dolph Lundgren one, and I actually really liked it. Got me back into He-Man, which is a weird thing. You don't hear too many people say like that's what got you back into He-Man, but I love the Dolph Lundgren one. I still like it. Like I can see why geeks and other people don't, but like just growing up seeing that, I really enjoyed that movie. And then the I didn't really stick with He-Man very much until I got married. My wife and I, we would watch dorky things on Netflix. We watched the entire Filmation series of pardon me, on Netflix. They had it. We watched all of He-Man. It's kind of weird for some for adult people to watch, but I enjoyed it again as an adult watching it all. Then we watched all of She-Ra, and I really enjoyed She-Ra. we watched the 2002 version. Was that it? The one that's kind of like overlooked, or was it from 2002?
Yeah, the 2000X series, so
Yeah, that one's
2002.
really, really good. Like I still the Filmation is my favorite, of course, just nostalgia purpose, but I think that's probably the best iteration right there. And then and then when we had kids, of course I forced all this stuff upon my kids. So my daughter now loves He-Man. She collects all the toys. She loves She-Ra. Um, and so we were all hyped up to see this movie. I think, and I was kind of worried about it too, like Geeks was saying. But I kind of had a good feeling about it deep down, and so I don't know if I was just hyping myself up for it, but I ended up liking it way more than I expected. Same with my girls, my whole family, my wife. We all thoroughly enjoyed it. It took me back to the time like, wow, I want to buy action figures for this movie, or what, like when you're a kid when you watch the show. Like, and then like I was saying, it's hard to not buy all those toys for my daughter when she asks for them. No, but yeah, um, thoroughly enjoyed it. Maybe, yeah, like you said, Jared Leto is. I'm not. I can really take relief him, but man, that's perfect Skeletor. It felt like you couldn't have a better adaptation of Skeletor. It's like a mixture of the Alan Oppenheimer and Frank Langella, like all rolled up into one. So many throwbacks to the cartoon, so such wonderful nostalgic feelings. All the look of the movie, everything, all the machines, all of the characters look like the cartoon. Even like very many several nods to the old movie too. I was surprised. Like I thought they wouldn't have anything to do with that movie, but I noticed like maybe 5 or 6 nods to the '87 movie. Yeah, so I loved it. And I think I don't know if I'm just biased to He-Man, but I'm thinking it would be a fun movie even if I wasn't into He-Man. But I don't know. It would be fun to hear like what other people who don't know about He-Man would think about it. But as a He-Man fan, I didn't think they did him very dirty. He's kind of a joke. Like every time there's like a superhero lead now in movies like Superman and He-Man, I always make them clowns. I've noticed. But I mean, he's very likable and true to the source. Like He-Man was never just about a musclehead. He was never. He was always about talking things through and only resorting to violence when he had to. And that's sort of like they adapted that well into this character for the movie. So yeah, I loved it.
Since
Mm,
we both
Yeah, our connection is tied
our
together.
connection is strong. I bought those toys. We watched those
mhm,
cartoons together. I was the one on the floor playing with you with all the figures and
Hmm.
you know, so I came to it from being a big Robert E. Howard Conan fan. So when I heard that they were going to be doing a Conan cartoon, I was like, yeah, this would be fantastic. How in the heck are they going to do this? You know, I knew immediately they were going to have to play it down. And so we sat down and watched the first cartoon together, and my son's excitement bled into my excitement. And then as we watched the stories and the history of He-Man and the universe they were creating, I thought, you know, this tries to walk a line between being entertainment for adults and being specifically for children. And even then, they got a lot of feedback from parents who were like, "This is too violent." And I was like, "What? Have you ever seen a violent movie? Do you understand what you're talking about?" Um, so we then ended up having to get those little Adam and Orko moments at the end where here's your message to take from the episode. I thought when they started doing that, they detracted from it. Kids are intelligent. They pick up on the messages anyway. They don't need to be preached to. Um, but I remember going into Toys R Us and buying those figures, you know, when your
mhm.
grandmother would go, "Well, what does he want?" I go, "Well, he's really big into He-Man right now." So, um, and just playing and I remember like when I started working my odd shift I had to put the recorder on just because I knew you were going to watch it and then I wanted to watch it with you so we'd have to watch it together, we'd watch it again together later on, same thing with Transformers.
Hmm.
But I was kind of a fan of the Dolph Lundgren He-Man. I understand what happened to it and why it kind of fell
Mhm.
apart at the end and what it was originally was supposed to be, which was not He-Man. But And I read all the comics. I remember he didn't care about the little comic book that came in the packaging for each one. I did.
I was so too young at that time.
And I was loving the barbarian story that was going on with them. And what we got in the show was not that. Um, and so I started picking them up at the comic store, and I've been buying them. I quit buying comics about 5 years ago, but I kept up on all that. The only thing I didn't care about with the comics is each iteration, whoever was producing or publishing it, added their own twist on it. So it added to and detracted from the original story. So you had to like them for what they were. Um, but I was a big fan of X. Man, I loved it. 2 seasons, I couldn't stand. The third season was supposed to be at the Serpent War and all
Yeah.
this other stuff, and we're never going to see that at all.
Mm.
But it needed at least a third season. Um, the
Are you talking about the 2000
Yeah,
and
2000 X.
Masters?
Mhm.
there
That was supposed
to
to. I saw a video on that. It was supposed to be a 5-season run,
be
and
originally.
Mattel pulled it because it wasn't selling toys.
Yep.
And I'm like, you had an amazing cartoon, the Keldor,
Yeah.
Randor,
That
that being
connection.
his uncle, that connection. I'm like, that added so much just on its own. The fight
Oh,
scenes
yes.
were fantastic. The
Mhm.
redesigns were amazing. That could have been the best He-Man cartoon. That could have been like the perfect He-Man
It would have been
cartoon.
the
I feel like.
definitive He-Man for all of it.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
they actually were well into production on the third season when the plug got pulled. So I was like, if you're that far in, why not just,
Air
put
it.
it out there? But it's all about money. They were not recouping the loss on that
Uh,
because they're in the business of selling toys,
Mhm.
and they couldn't see beyond that. It's one thing I've loved about anime and manga is they don't care about the merchandising. They want to tell a story. So I talked to my son when I got out of the theater. I mean, and here's what was great. I went with my granddaughter, and she's not a big He-Man person. She really didn't follow any of it. She doesn't watch any of those cartoons. Now she loved She-Ra when she was little. At the HBO She-Ra, I think that's where it was on HBO. The revamp of the show. And but she was so excited. She got into it. She laughed at all the right moments. It had that moment watching her. I had that moment of understanding. Yes, this movie makes it on multiple levels. And even if you know nothing about He-Man, you can come into this theater, sit down, and enjoy a fun fantasy film. It reminded me of the recent Dungeons and Dragons movie, which I adore. Man, I
That's a
love.
great movie. I
Yes.
had so much fun with that movie.
And that's that feeling I had with this when I walked out. And I remember she was after she saw the She-Ra thing, she was ready to go. And I was like, oh, no, there's one more. You got to
yeah.
stick it through. Stay with it. And she was like, oh, yeah, when she saw what happened. I'm not going to give a spoiler on that. But yeah.
So, like most of the cartoons that I grew up with during the 80s, it was mostly a thing that my uncle and I bonded over because he's older than I am. Growing up, there's like I I want to say maybe a little over a 10-year gap between us. So it was me, my uncle, and one of my immediate cousins. We're all pretty much in the same age group. He started watching He-Man with his friends, and they're like maybe 12, 13 at the time. So naturally, I want to gravitate towards where all the cool kids are. And I start watching the show with them. My mom is bringing me home the golden books and tapes that I'm listening to at home, learning to read and follow along with. And then all of a sudden, she surprises me with my own He-Man toy. My uncle, of course, wants one. So we're going back and forth over who gets to play with it and what have you. And it was just one of those things that every day while it was airing, we would actually come together and watch. Little Zombie, I'm sitting there with my little toys and I'm all excited and I'm trying to reenact everything that I'm seeing. And he's sitting there just, teenager doing what he's doing. So we watched the show together quite a bit. And in between He-Man and Thundercats and Voltron and just all these different shows that we grew up together watching, He-Man was one that just really stuck. for a long time. And we had a huge collection of the action figures. Unfortunately, I don't know where a majority of his wound up. I still have mine. I don't know where his went. And it was almost like it was kind of like a rite of passage, so to say. Like as soon as he got too old for that kind of stuff, he would hand it down to me and I'd be like, okay, cool. I get all this cool stuff. And then we learned about the movie. Now he knew who Dolph Lundgren was because he had watched Rocky 4 and he knew everything about, who these actors were. I'm still little. I don't know the movie trivia that I do now. So naturally he wants to see it. Well, we could never get to a theater. We could never find it anywhere. So I think we decided to rent it. I loved it. I still do. Um, he didn't hate it, but he was also kind of like, well, why did they do this? Why did they tell this story? Why did they include this character, but not this one? So he was kind of picking and choosing. I guess his mind was that we have all these characters in toy form. Why aren't they in the movie? So over the years, we still watched it together whenever it was on cable. Even as we got older, until he moved out, we're like, hey, Masters of the Universe is on. Let's put it on, and we would just kind of reminisce about the toys and what have you, what have you. I don't know if he's gone to see it yet. I plan on texting him to see if he's gone with his kids. But I took my son, and I loved it. Everyone in the theater loved it. You could tell that almost everybody there was a fan or was familiar enough with Masters of the Universe to know what we were watching. And we all were kind of in agreement. This movie's for us. This movie is not for the newer generations. It could be, but this is ours. This is our baby. This is what we have been waiting for. And there wasn't an angry person in that theater at all. Granted, there was like maybe 30 of us, and I was kind of hoping it would be a more packed theater, but everybody loved it. Everybody was sitting there clapping together, laughing at all the jokes and, knowing who was who and getting all the little references and Easter eggs. And my son kind of left the theater going, huh, okay, I think I get what I just watched. And then we got home, and earlier today we were talking more about that. And he was like, are those the toys that we spent that whole day playing together with? And I said, yeah, when you were about 3 years old. And then boom, just every memory that we had with He-Man just started coming back to him. And he's like, you need to go get those out of storage. We need to go play with the figures. And I posted in the Discord, Target's having that He-Man sale, so I capitalized on that some. And he was more anxious about those toys arriving than I was. I said, you do know that these are mine, right?
You only think they're yours.
That's right. That's right.
So I got I have the Sword of Power, and I got two of the classic figures from the deal, and he's waiting for me to crack those open. He's waiting for me to go to storage and get all my characters. He wants me to open the Castle Grayskull popcorn holder I got at the theater too. He's just waiting for it now, and I'm actually excited too, because like I said, when he saw the movie, he kind of didn't know what to think at first. And I said, well, let's go back and watch the cartoon. We'll watch the movie together and we'll see what you think. So that's the plan now.
Right.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I'm probably definitely going to pick this one up on physical.
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I
Definitely.
want to keep a copy of it.
Mm-hmm.
I know it's not done well in the theater, and I think there's good reasons for that, because a lot of it we've already kind of touched on a little bit, but I think a lot of it comes down to they haven't done the best job of keeping the property in the public sphere.
Yes.
And
Yes.
a lot
And they
of
didn't
what's
really do a
come
good
out,
job at advertising it either.
they
Mhm.
didn't. Not until it came out, like a week after it came out. Now I'm seeing all the advertisements of it, of the cast having a good time and all the memes and all this other stuff coming in. And I'm like, where was this on the lead up? Like, you should have had this out. You
Yep.
should have been doing this like weeks, months in advance. That would have
Mhm.
built so much goodwill and hype for it, instead of the one trailer with him and HR, which was really weird to kind of lead with. And And honestly, I don't think the Kevin Smith series really did it any favors.
No.
I don't think the kid version of it, even though I thought that was kind of cool, even though the designs were a little wonky, I understood there were more for kids, right? So I'm like, I'm good with this. I mean, it still kind of feels like He-Man. I can kind of roll with this. I thought that one was a little bit better overall and a little bit closer to He-Man, even though it was, and it being made more for kids kind of made sense because the original one was aimed more at kids. It had a little bit there for adults because you can still go back and get some of the other meaning because there's some subtext to like Tila's heritage and a couple of other things that are hinted at, not heavily into cartoons, but there, right? And a lot of the parentage with Roland and He-Man and Adam's mother and stuff like that, and their concerns that you pick up on more as an adult, right? That you didn't catch when you were a kid. That I think Kevin Smith missed so much of. And I was really looking forward to that one.
The animation on
That
it was great, but
Yeah.
the biggest problem was it wasn't written by a fan. It wasn't designed
No.
for a fan. It was sadly a propaganda piece. It was
Yes.
it
to
wasn't He-Man's show. It was Tila's show,
no,
really.
it wasn't. Yeah.
And
And
I love Tila as a character.
mhm.
I've always loved Tila as a character in every revision. And I even liked her design in the Kevin Smith one. I know a lot of people didn't like it, but I'm like, for somebody who's doing what she's doing, this build fits her. And I'm okay with that, right?
Well,
So
here's
the
the
physics,
thing. It has the same problem that Kevin Smith's, not the one we're talking about, not the new movie, had the same problem that happened to Star Wars. And it was because writers today don't understand that you can have many through stories going on where you tell Tila's story, you can tell He-Man's story, you can tell a Man-at-Arms story, you can tell all these things as long as you keep the core in line and everything culminates into a bigger story towards the end. They prefer to focus on one or two characters, whether it's
Right.
political or social or whatever, that they alienate the majority of the customer, the audience.
The fan base.
And
Yeah.
while they try to play service to another group that they think are going to come in and pick up where all the audiences you lose, you're going to pick up a whole new one. And that's been proven over and over again. It doesn't happen.
yeah, and
They
and
just
that's
didn't
a
know how to
big,
market it.
yeah, they really didn't. And he just, I don't know if he was mandated or if that's what he wanted to do. Um,
Listen to his interviews. It sounded like he at one point had all the control over it, and then when it didn't work, all of a sudden he was like, "Well, there's a lot of other people, involved in it." I was like, "You can't have it both ways."
and
No.
that just sounds like he's trying to pass the buck and not
Yeah.
not take the
Yeah.
blame
Not take
on
the blame
something.
for it.
Yeah, and so really, I think that's what killed this movie. Like it wasn't in the public zeitgeist. They hadn't really kept it there. Mattel was too focused on the toys and not the IP itself. So that by the time Netflix got it, they didn't do it any help. And then Amazon got it from them. And from what I've seen on a couple of videos, they seem happy with its performance. And I'm like, well, for me, as someone who enjoyed this movie and would like to see another movie and wouldn't mind seeing She-Ra come in, hopefully they they mature Adam a little bit. And
Yes.
and when
Yeah.
we'll get into some of that, but I understood why they did it the way they did it, but I also had some issues with it going so deep into the movie with the way
Hmm.
they did it, that his
Mhm.
arc took so long and She-Ra looked so composed that I'm like, oh no, please don't do what I'm afraid you're going to do. Don't set me up to do what I think you're going to do. Please don't do this to me. I don't hate this character. She's not my character. I don't hate this character, but oh, for the love of
Yeah.
please no. I'm so worried if they push
Well,
Yeah.
they'll
well,
take it in a direction it's going to frustrate me.
I
Yeah.
Yeah.
think what they've done with this version of the movie is they've created a universe that's kind of now in a rebuilding phase, right? It's encapsulated. It's a smaller universe. The addition of Earth being in it, we always knew that because Adam's mother was an astronaut.
Mhm.
Right.
But by introducing her and the much grander story of Hordak and what he represented, um, it could expand it into a much broader universe. And then once you introduce the serpent people,
Yes.
then you've got like three armies, people, three battling people, all wanting one thing, and that's the central part of what Grayskull is and what it protects. I could see this going into a trilogy that could turn out to be started off small, focused. We have a character who's out of his depth, but by the end of it is still he's moved on, but he's still that little innocent kind of person.
Yeah.
But then we're going to introduce somebody who can explain it, back him up, and help him grow, which is perfect for a sister.
Yeah.
And then, man, explode it by the third film. I could actually see it if it's played right and it's well written. But
Mhm.
if they're just in this for a money grab, I think it's going to fail. Here's the thing. They're hoping that this is going to sell better overseas for people. Some people don't know who He-Man is, so they're going to market it different. And the fact that they have seen that stuff that movies that don't make it once they go into streaming actually explode and they make their money back. So I don't think they're looking at this as just a theatrical release. But if they were smart, they would not pull it from theaters. Let it stay in theaters. Let it percolate. Let word of mouth get out there and say, "Hey, this is not what you think," because there was a lot of detractors talking about it, and
There was.
Yeah.
I did not want to watch any of that. I wanted to go in,
Going
clean,
blind
clear-minded, blind, and see if I was going to enjoy it, and I
so
did. And
that's
we
the
need that.
but that's also goes back to the problem with this movie was that there was no advertisements for it. Like we were hearing news in the background of, oh, they were doing this, they were
Mhm.
doing, Dolph Lundgren's going to be in the movie. I was like, oh, and it was originally talked that he was going to be King Randor, and I was like, man,
Which
that'd
would have
be
been.
perfect.
That
Yeah.
actually would have been pretty awesome.
I was
Hit,
hoping
I
for
don't know
that
if they
too.
wanted to do that after Aquaman. I mean, introducing him as one of the kings and
Oh
Aquaman.
yeah.
yeah,
So people are gonna, oh well, I see what they did. I don't think Lundgren wants to become, oh, I'm the cameo king.
King Cameo King.
So
But for me, getting to take Edward to go see this movie, like he was out of school that Friday. We went, we watched it. He loved it. I loved it. I was tearing up at certain points.
Yeah.
My favorite part, of course, was when he became He-Man. Um, but every part of the movie was just so good. And like we all said, and Geek said it first, was the fact that like
Yeah.
Jared Leto Skeletor stole the show. I mean, he is perfect. And it was like compared to like we got what Kevin
Yep.
Spacey as Lex Luthor, and he was horrible. We got
reason for that.
Joseph Gordon-Levitt as Cobra Commander in that first G.I. Joe movie, which is
Oh, no.
awful.
hmm
And we've
The
gotten other
second
movies.
movie's so much better.
Oh yes, yes, it is.
Retaliation's
Yes.
worlds better.
Better, yes.
Oh,
For
Gosh.
G.I. Joe fans. For non-G.I. Joe fans, I think they prefer the first one. But for core G.I. Joe fans, the second movie was so much better.
Mm-hmm.
I
It
could
still
have
had
done without
problems,
The
but it was
Rock,
way better.
honestly.
Yeah. But and I'll add this. I'll give my background. So just a little bit. But yes, I was a huge He-Man fan. He-Man was my first love. I love that show. I had just about every one of the toys because my dad would go around trying to find them between my grandparents, my uncles and stuff. I didn't have everything. I didn't have Eternia, but like I had Snake Mountain and Grayskull and a lot of the vehicles, most of the figures, and all of it got given away to some kid that told my mom that I had stole his stuff.
Oh.
My dad,
Oh
my
no.
and my
Wow.
dad came home to me crying, and we tried to go get it back, and we couldn't. So like at that point, I was like, I was kind of done with He-Man, even though I love He-Man. So it was like I I just couldn't do it. So like my first He-Man figures was when they did the 40th anniversary Master of the Universe, the Masterverse figure.
hmm
Because it was like it just captured what
Yeah.
my imagination was for a He-Man figure, even though it wasn't like the classics that I remember, but it looked like the cartoon of my imagination. And so after that, I started collecting the classic figures again. The ones that are the filmation because I love the cartoon accuracy. And but I tried to watch the cartoon again with my son. I couldn't get past the second episode. It's just
I like it. Like, it's fun. It's funny. You guys can't go back and watch the cartoon, but you guys love the movie.
oh
I
yes.
couldn't get in. I couldn't get into the movie. I think because I was like, I was like 48 when I saw it for the first time. I never saw it as a kid.
Oh, okay, okay,
So,
okay.
so I missed it when I was a kid. So going back
Mhm.
and watching it, I'm like, what? Uh, I don't get it, right? But the cartoon, I can go back and rewatch. Totally fine.
Yes, yeah.
Mhm.
No problem.
I get that. I get that. I mean,
Except
it was one of those things that we, for us, it got to see it when it came out. It was like, it was on screen. It was like, oh my God, it's He-Man. Like, no matter how bad that film was, Skeletor and He-Man's portrayal was perfect.
yep.
And then we got, the really attractive Courtney Cox back then, but
Yep.
um, yeah, but I love the movie. I love the 2000X series. I didn't pick up any of the toys. My dad was picking up those. I mean, I was
I regret not getting those.
21 at the
Yeah,
time, so
I
I
kind of
was.
wish I'd gotten more of the cartoon toys when they did the re-release here.
Mhm.
I have so much stuff I collect. I'm like, I don't have any room. It's killing me. Like, there's a lot of stuff I would have, but I just don't have room.
And that's the big thing about it. It's not necessarily the price because Mattel has been great about the MOTU stuff and have kept them at a really good price point. You know, when they started doing the classics, they were like $15, which is much cheaper than any of the toy brand stuff that was coming out from anybody else. And then when they did the Masterverse stuff, it was $20. And I think even at the latest, when they were still doing it, they were still $23, still under what Hasbro was doing for
Yeah.
any of their Black Series, the Marvel Legends,
Yeah.
the G.I.
Yeah.
Joes.
Well, we've talked about the Black Series going up in price, man. Like, I went on
It's
Entertainment Earth to
nuts.
pick up a couple of the ones I wanted, like Deep Six and the New Cobra Commander, but those are like $35 and
Or they're
$70,
they're
man.
$40. If you get a
$40.
single figure, which is a deluxe with extras, you're $40. And some
Yeah,
of
Mhm.
they're
like if
crazy.
there are two figures, it's $50.
50
And
bucks.
those are like just figures and bare minimum assortments of stuff.
Well, the
Yeah.
scuba guys, the
Scuba Steve.
Cobra and
Scuba
G.I. Joe
Steve.
figures
Scuba
were
Steve.
$50. But you got tons of accessories with those.
Yeah, I
Yes.
actually loved how they did those. Me and you talked about that because that made them very inclusive and not inclusive in a bad way, right?
Hmm.
Just inclusive where if you want them to look this way, you can. If you want them to look this way, you can. It kind of meets in that perfect butter zone for because those two were just but you had those on both sides, right? It didn't
Yep.
matter. They were army figures, so you configure them however you want. It's not like, gender swapping or race swapping a notable character from one to the other,
Hmm.
right?
Which is something we can get into here in a second. But I do want to know
Yeah.
about Ty Lord on the fact of like, how was it with your daughters when they went and saw it and your daughter and everything?
Oh well, my little daughter's more hyped about He-Man than my 13-year-old. But I mean, she pretty much loves everything. My 13-year-old, she's autistic, so she enjoyed the heck out of it. She usually gets up and runs around, but she sat there and watched. or she but or she didn't run around too bad. But my little one, yeah, she knows all the names of the characters, so she would be hyped up when she saw a
Awesome.
new character. So
Nice.
that's coming from like a He-Man fan, so she's not really like Zombie's kid who had kind of been out of He-Man for a while. Like Sarah's been into it, so she would get hyped up when she saw a new character, and of course the movie is funny, like kind of well written. So of course you'd naturally get laughs out of it, and you get hyped up during scenes. And yeah, that end scene, yeah, she was her favorite character. So of course that I don't know if we already mentioned. I didn't want to spoil anything, but the end title credits and the fright zone looks so awesome. It was probably just
Oh,
like
yes.
painting or
Hmm.
whatever, but it was
Yes.
making me super hyped for that. I'm hoping there's going to be either a She-Ra spin-off or the sequel will have that. All the silly horde people. But yeah, no, she was hyped. Yeah, she wants to get the Blu-ray, of course. Yeah,
It
Because
was
that's the.
funny when I saw
Oh,
that scene. I was like, "Oh, what
yeah,
toys may come?"
yeah,
Hmm.
right.
I was
Yeah.
like,
yeah,
"I want that."
yeah.
And that's the biggest thing about this movie was like I felt like going to see this. it is one of those things where it definitely was designed for Gen X
Yep.
Mhm.
and millennials. It
Yeah.
was specifically for an audience that had kids that would take this to it and hopefully
Yeah,
introduce a new generation to it, which is what other franchises do.
Mhm.
Namely Star Wars, and they hadn't. But going into this, like I had reservations on the fact of Man at Arms. Like
Mhm.
Idris Elba's a great actor, but it's like,
Yeah.
why do you have to like? It seemed like a checkbox,
Yeah.
and you don't do it to anybody else in the movie. Hold on, when you don't do it to anybody else in the movie, it seems like a checkbox. But
They do.
he
They
was
do do it to
he
one
was
other
one of the
character.
best characters in the
Yes.
film,
Yes, he
Yeah.
was.
and
Yes.
that's the thing is like it works when the story works, but you can't do it when it's just a checkbox, and it's not about being like critical of it. It's just like if you're going to do it to other characters too.
Mhm.
When you do something like that in writing, even in writing, okay, remember like
Mhm.
Aliens. Aliens was an all-male crew,
Yes.
but the addition
Originally,
of Ripley and Lambert changed the dynamic of that film.
Mhm.
Okay, so that said, I don't like checkbox movie making, but
Right.
when you're going to change a gender or a race, it has to be a character that could be in anybody. They're so generic
Yeah.
enough that you can create a character out of them based on who that character is.
Mhm.
And like I've always thought, like when Trank brought out the Fantastic Four remake, that was Ben Grimm should have been the a black person because it fit his motif, the character where he grew up, the time of frame he grew up in. But they forced it around a different way with characters. I didn't really feel fit that because when you're writing a character, or you're creating a character, you have to take into consideration their background, how they've grown. You can't just cut and paste a character in without acknowledging the past and racial disparities and everything else that go involved with such a change.
Mhm.
So I did not see a change or problem with anything they did in He-Man. Idris, man, when I saw him, I was just thinking of Heimdall from Thor.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Such a
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
great character he was in it, and I love him in everything.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's not exactly. That is not but that's not what we're talking. I mean, like that.
Well, I mean, if they had changed,
But the thing is that you making him black, you change the fact of the dynamics of the fact that what Tila is. She would at least be half, unless she's
she could be
adopted.
half, or she could have been
Right.
adopted.
So
Those could all
that
be
would bring
revealed
in that
later.
you would have to bring in an actress that would fit that
Mm-hmm.
dynamic. And sometimes with lazy writing, they don't do that. They just want
No.
the token character,
Well,
and
the
that's
thing
wrong.
with Man at Arms, if I can interject for a minute on the Man
Yeah.
at Arms thing now, and this may be a misunderstanding of my history with Tila, is Tila wasn't really Man at Arms like daughter in the
Yeah, she's
traditional
adopted,
sense.
yeah.
She was
Even
adopted.
in the
Mm.
filmation, she was sort of just adopted, right? He was taking care of her. She wasn't his
Yes.
daughter by any measure of birth. So changing him from white to black didn't matter. You could still have
Mhm.
Tila just be Tila, and that still works, right?
Mhm.
Now,
Yes.
had
Right.
she been blood and she hadn't been mixed, then you go, wait a minute, this is sort of breaking my
Right.
Yeah.
Well, if
And
I remember right, just going back to the cartoon, Tila was related to the sorceress, wasn't
yeah,
she?
she was
In
the
the original.
sorceress's
Yeah.
daughter.
Yeah, in the
Yeah.
original.
And
Yeah.
he took her on, but never initially, at least in the cartoon run that I remember seeing, kept that secret for the sorceress
Mhm.
and
Yes.
never told Tila her actual parentage.
Right. But
Mhm.
I believe in the 2000X series, she was blood to him.
If I go
I
back
thought they
and
kind of
watch it,
hinted it might
Yeah.
have been
might be
Fisto.
hinted
They
at.
hinted at it in that 2002.
Oh, was it Fisto?
No, I think they kind of hinted it might
Okay.
be, but like you never found out. They never went anywhere. I guess because the series ended, or what.
Said
It
it
could have
ended.
been Fisto. It could
Yeah.
have been Duncan.
Hmm.
Yeah.
But I get the point that Vince is trying to raise because
Mhm.
we experience that so much nowadays because if it's not just flat out directly in your face agenda, it's subtle.
Yeah.
And they really want you to focus more on this particular aspect rather than what can this actor or actress bring to the character? And keeping in mind that not only is he a good actor all around, I've never been disappointed in any role he's ever played. I thought he's awesome as Heimdall, awesome as the gunslinger. There hasn't been a role he's taken on that's really disappointed me. But I could also see why that was potentially part of the problem with why this movie seems to be underperforming, is because we're getting more of these proposed agendas rather than it just being like, no, take into it what you will, but that's not what they're doing. It's reviewers are suggesting it before they even see the film.
How many times in history have we seen a reviewer write a review of a film and interject their own political bias or whatever?
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, of
when
course.
the guy who or agenda, and then when they interviewed the guy before the movie ever came out, he explains what he was doing, or they explain what the story was about.
Yeah.
And so they're actually arguing with the creator of the film that they're not being truthful. That's their agenda. That's not the people who created the story or anything else.
No.
That's on the people who are complaining. And that's why I don't listen to reviews and I don't pay attention to that stuff anymore, because everybody's got an agenda. Everybody's got a reason for saying what they say. If you enjoy it, then you enjoyed it because you enjoyed it. And you felt it had a value to you, and that you would spread that out and you would invite people to see it to you. I'm so tired of that. Because that's why we don't get a lot of great movies or storytelling in
That
Hollywood.
stuff gets canceled before it can get
No.
its legs.
A lot of
And I
these
think that
reviews
goes.
sorry about that.
No, go ahead, Tyler. Go.
A lot of their bread and butter is just to point out like, oh, what's woke about it. And I mean, there's a lot to work with that, but when like that's your bread and butter, you gotta like keep working with that, and it might not be true sometimes.
Yeah.
And I think that leads into the point of like what I wanted to talk about with the early adverts on this, because the first advert was a lot, if I remember this one correctly, was showing Adam, but it was showing him in his HR setting on Earth. Almost the entire trailer was about Earth. And then you look at the plaque, and the one thing everybody latched onto, and I latched onto it in the movie too, but in the context of the greater movie, it was not a bigger deal. But you see he/him. And that just made everybody super nervous from the get-go, because there have been so many properties that had been twisted into something unrecognizable by the fan base, not adopted by a new fan base, that were just destroyed and just laid waste to by certain tweaks like that. And I'm looking at it going, oh God, what the hell?
It's such a minor thing. It's like,
it is, but it had big connotations around the time that trailer dropped.
It did.
Because we'd had a big rash of stuff that had been destroyed by placing stuff like that in there.
But it also played into him choosing his names and naming every character in the film based on what a child's memory of them. Remember, I've been thinking of a name, and they're like, okay, and then he had to go all the way back around to say the name, and then they all kind of laughed at him. And
isn't that redundant?
And I took that watching the film. I worked in HR for a while. Is that I didn't think of it as you could, because if you look at the whole HR department, it was that kind of
it was that kind of place
thing. But I felt that the reverse of that, people in like that kind of HR get to put their name, what they want to be called, on it. So that is still goes back to Adam saying he, him, that's who I am. I don't know if you're understanding what I'm saying is a lot of that had to do with the character and less about the politics behind us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Well, right. Which we understand that, but the thing is, perception is different.
Yeah,
you can't have perception.
Seeing
People
a trailer,
can perceive anything that they want out of anything you
say.
say.
Yeah, exactly.
It's true. It's true. But even when I was looking at the trailer, I'm like, I really want this movie to be good. But that first trailer, like, I don't know. Like, you're showing me a lot of Earth. You're showing me a lot of him in a pink shirt. Okay, that's traditional for Adam. I get it. That's fine. He, him. Right now, this doesn't feel like He-Man, right? This feels like something else. And that was the worry with the first trailer. Now, the second trailer came out, which I thought was much, much better. I was very nervous when they announced Jared Leto being
we all were.
Skeletor, because I'm like, oh God, everything you touch is death, man. Like, you've been terrible in everything. And characters I didn't think you could take too far, you've taken to a level that I can't go, and it just comes off as dumb, and I don't know. God, I don't know about this, right?
Am I
And then you
really the
have
only Morbius fan out there?
No,
dude,
I
I
love
tried.
Jared Leto. I
I
love Jared
tried,
Leto.
Morbius.
But I
couldn't.
know, I knew that there's such a hate for him that just by having, because he could, the voice for him was perfect. It didn't even
Yes.
sound
He nailed
like Jared
it.
Leto. So you,
Oh, yeah.
unless that was in the back of your subconscious, you did not see that on screen or hear his voice. Now, if he had been more of Jared Leto's voice, it might have called you out. But remember, the only other comparison we have to compare him to is Frank Langella, and I love
Yes.
his
Yeah.
performance.
Oh, yes. Very
But I mean,
Shakespearean.
and then you saw Idris Elba, and that got all the people going woke. And I'm like, I'm gonna hold off
Yes.
on Idris Elba
Yeah.
because I've enjoyed everything I've seen
Oh,
him
yeah.
in.
Yeah,
Everything.
I always
exactly.
enjoyed
Like,
his
yeah.
performance, given his performance in Pacific Rim
Mm-hmm.
as Heimdall. Even if you go back and you look at the Fast and Furious spinoff with The Rock and how he
Dwayne
acted there,
Johnson.
I'm like,
Oh,
you
yeah,
know
Dwayne
what?
Johnson and
He could nail
Jason
he could
Statham.
nail this. I'm gonna hold off judgment till I see what they do with him.
Yeah.
And I have concerns with what they did with Duncan, but it wasn't related to him or his performance. It was
No.
how they portrayed the character, right? And
Yes.
Yeah,
we'll get to that. But
yeah.
I have some concerns with what they did with the Man at Arms character,
Mm-hmm.
and I think most of you guys will probably agree that how he acted and how he reacted to certain things, I don't think is how that character probably would have reacted. I think it was okay for the story they were trying to tell, but it's not how I see that character acting. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
that's not his fault.
No,
how
it's
they
not.
wrote
That's
him.
how it is how he was written. But if
Yes.
it's
Yeah.
if it's what I think it is,
Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
I've got some. Yeah, we
Yeah.
can
Mhm.
discuss that.
But with Idris too, he's probably the biggest star in the movie too, so they kind of needed someone like that.
True.
And I
The
mean,
star power, yeah.
and Tom
Mhm.
Selleck's probably too old, so like I think Idris
That would have been
is the
perfect, but
he's the
Perfect
best you're
Oh
gonna
my
get.
God, Tom Selleck is Man at Arms.
No,
Oh
well, I
my
mean,
God.
okay, look,
It-
if you're gonna have
Man
you
at
need
Arms
somebody to
PI.
anchor a film, and you
Bam, bam, bam.
you want to have somebody that's recognizable.
Yeah.
Gerard Butler, stick him in Man at Arms. He could have been Man at Arms.
you could have
Mhm.
done payroll cash cow.
Oh
No,
my God.
no,
It's got-
no,
I know. I
no.
I'm
know.
tired of
I had to
seeing
say.
him. I don't
No.
hate him as an actor. I'm just burnt out on Pedro, man.
Yes, I am too.
Just
We
too
are-
much.
we
Totally
are.
done.
That's why
I'm
we have
done.
that's why we have the nickname for him. You know.
I'm
Uh,
kind of I'm
Spaceballs, the
that way.
toilet
I'm
paper.
I'm that way with I'm too old for this stuff. I'm a drunk burnout, or I'm somebody who's
Well, the fact that he
I had so
like
much potential, and now I'm collapsed into a crumbled old man hiding on an island.
he was so
I'm done
good in
with
the
all that
beginning, and in the
Yeah.
fall, it was like he be okay. We'll just get into it. It doesn't matter. The
Yeah.
fact that he was really good at the beginning of the movie, solid Duncan. And then when he failed, instead of picking himself back up, the things that he's teaching Adam and all these other people that
Yeah.
he's teaching, he becomes worse. He's a drunkard,
Yeah.
doesn't care about himself, and then his reputation is destroyed.
So
But
we're at
only to
spoilers
him.
now,
Only
folks.
to him. Hold on.
We're
Only
going
to
into
him.
spoilers now.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
sorry, but if you have somebody who's never failed in life
Yes.
and always succeeded, when they meet that one moment, they collapse like that. Their whole world breaks
Mhm.
down. Their
Yes, they
ego
do.
collapses. I thought that was well written and well timed.
I
Now,
would agree.
with everything else was going on, he might have drug himself up by his pants legs and gotten out of that, especially when it felt like he was losing his daughter. That's the kind of stuff that makes you come back from that kind of a place. But the fact that once you've been to, remember how he was talking to everybody and how he was uplifting,
Yeah.
and he kept making that promise. And I was like, quit making that promise.
Yep.
You can't keep that promise, quit making it.
Yes.
So that was expected, and anybody who understands character development should have known that he was headed for a fall, and it was going to be a major fall.
Mm-hmm.
I think my problem is feel like Duncan or Man at Arms as a character is generally that way. I know that's how they wrote him in this one, and so it kind of makes sense in a certain sense, but Duncan's character
Yes, I agree with you.
itself doesn't lend itself to that kind of crumble.
Right.
A demoralization, sure,
Hmm.
but he's always a character that's had an adaptability and a really strong reliability to him.
Right, and
He
he
was almost
taught that
more
to
of a
Adam. How many times did
yeah,
Adam fail or He-Man kind of get his butt kicked at first in the animation? Duncan is that guy who that person who helps pick you back up and tells you, here's your lesson, here's your
Hmm.
learning moment, grow from
right.
this, and you can do that. Yes, I agree with you 100%.
And so that's where I was coming from with the Duncan character. Is that's a character that's been there, experienced that, and gotten over it and become stronger for it.
Mhm.
Duncan wasn't somebody who always
Yeah.
won. Duncan was somebody who struggled, earned his place, and is now teaching people from all the lessons that he learned from mistakes that he had in the past that he survived through, right?
Right.
Like most soldiers would, right?
But
I
can
feel
I
like.
ask
And
a question? If you think about the original cartoon that all this is based on, they didn't add that kind of stuff into the cartoon to begin with. They took all the greater aspects of humanity and put it into cartoon. And the flaws were all on the other side, the bad guys. So we never got a chance to see those characters grow or be that way the way you're describing. He was just written to be that from the start. And
Yeah.
they never explored that in
I
that
just kind
first
of,
series.
I kind of got, I always felt like I got that feeling from him though. I don't know. Like, it's just how the character vibed with me as a kid and even more
Yeah,
so as an adult.
Well, see, I gravitated towards Duncan, Man at Arms. That was my type of character. And I remember, Vince was all over the place, the characters he loved. But my favorite character was Duncan. Most of the figures and stuff I buy is him. And I get really angry when they don't do him right.
Yeah.
But yeah, I agree.
I think that was my concern with him. Now, from the way you're describing him and how they portrayed him in this one, which brings me to some of the concerns I had during the training section of the movie, right? One, the use of language. He didn't need to use that word as much as he did. And the way he was training them I didn't come off as Duncan. It didn't come off as a captain of the guard kind of. It came off a little bit as drill sergeant, but not as effective a drill sergeant, right? Like it
Hmm.
wasn't how I would expect men at arms to be a drill sergeant addressing troops or especially young kids, right? It didn't really it didn't really work in that sense. And again, that's not on Idris. That's more on how they portrayed the writing, right?
Yeah.
Well, did you get like a Asian or samurai or ninja kind of feel from it, where at young age kids are not thrown into practice martial arts, practice bow staffing? You were actually competed against each other, and injuries occurred. And the feeling was you either succeed or you don't, and you're not meant
Hmm.
for this.
I got a
That's
very
kind of the feel
Spartan,
I got. But
very
Spartan.
Yeah, Spartan.
Sparta slash
Yeah.
Yeah.
samurai vibe from it. Yeah. And that's fine for Eternia. Eternia's always been more like, so I get that, right? And I got Randor to a point with
Mm-mm.
his display, even though I thought that was a lot of that wasn't in Randor's character,
Yeah.
as I know
No.
Randor.
Hmm.
And so I had some issues with that too. Like the initial example of trying to get him to take this serious, I'm like, okay, right? He's trying to teach him a lesson. It's a little public, but okay. This is how things happen in Eternia. He's the king. He has to set an example. Maybe that's how he does it. But he could do a subtle turnaround and look at his son and maybe give him a look or something. And he doesn't do that. And that's where it started to break apart between me and his relationship with his son that was never quite that way that I knew of, right? That it was a little
Yeah,
bit of a misunderstanding. It doesn't ruin the film,
Yeah.
but they're small nitpicks, right?
I think he'd
Yeah.
already given up on his son in the cartoon, but he just like he wasn't cold with him. But I think but the cartoon, the Randor, like he'd already just given up on his son. Like Adam's a loser, but I still love him. But he didn't seem quite as cold as this Randor.
Well, I
Yeah.
took it from like a
Yeah.
leader can't show favoritism.
Yeah.
You
No.
know, and
No.
in a situation where you've got to learn combat, you can't have somebody saving you every 5 minutes because you're not
Yeah.
in reality, you're not going to get that. But he came off even cold in those moments when he didn't need to be
Mhm.
until later in the film.
Mhm.
And as a father, I know that I've gotten mad at my child because they did something. I put them in their room, you know, you're not getting dinner tonight. And then later on, I calm down, walk in, I got some food for them, and I sit down and I want to talk to them because I need to calm down and they need to calm down.
Absolutely.
Mhm.
But that was not Ran as far as I was concerned. I did not get that feeling. I because of the actor playing him, I was excited. I wanted to see his interpretation and how they played him. And I thought um, everything they created for him in the front was to pay off that ending.
Thing at the end.
Yes.
And I was
Yeah.
like, no, they should have given him. Did anybody else feel it felt kind of short because it really moved quickly through?
Yeah.
Yes.
And I thought it
did.
needed those break moments in there
Mhm.
where you show humanity.
And this was a long
character
movie.
building.
And
Yeah.
that's the thing. This is a long movie, and it did feel fast.
Yeah. Definitely did. And I remember sitting in the theater watching it and going, already? Like it's almost like one quick cut and then boom.
Yeah.
I blink and you miss it kind of thing. And I was like, where's the redemption factor? Where's the like even if there was like a training montage where you see Adams, you know, learning how to swing the sword and doing everything, even if you could get like just that one little glimpse of King Randor looking at him and just kind of smirking like, wow, he's becoming what I
Person I know
wanted
he
him to
can be.
become.
Yeah.
Yeah. There was none of that. And in the training scene specifically, I remember because I was sitting next to my son, I leaned over and I said, you see, you think your dad is rough? You know, look at how Randor is treating Adam. And I said, but respectively, this is what most fathers do want for their sons. They want to know that their son can stand on their 2 feet should something happen to them.
Mhm.
But I definitely sat there watching that going, yeah, this is not, I couldn't even think of any iteration where I felt like this was similar to that.
The scene in Snake Mountain made that even more painful because you could tell they cut it the way they cut it because they wanted that scene to hit the way it hit. That he felt like he had to be somebody completely different for his father.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, oh man, that was never their relationship. Like it did tug at heartstrings, which was their intent, but I don't feel like they did it through. It felt like they did Randor dirty to pull at your heartstrings a little more.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's part of what I had a concern with on that whole arc, right?
My thing too was that like it was weird that you would think that since Adam had his memories going to Earth, that like for one, you could tell that he was very muscly under that shirt.
Yeah.
I mean, like it wasn't like, you know, oh, he's thin Adam and he takes the sword. He was muscular. It's like, oh yeah, you can definitely tell that he's He-Man in the old cartoon. But like he was going to the gym, but it's like he wasn't strong. Like he was completely weak until he got the sword of power and actually said the words. You know, unlike Ash, who couldn't say the words and you know blew a hole in limbo. Um, for those Evil Dead fans out there. But it was so weird, like because he went to the gym and that's where he had the cameo with Dolph Lundgren. And then he's all like, he's like, all good journey, which was you know the callback and stuff. But it would explain that like he wanted to be the man that his dad believed him to be. So he was going to the gym to do these things. But like just having this thing like he acts like he doesn't know what he's doing and he can't lift weights and everything, just kind of like it makes his character like he's like useless. Like he can't do anything. But he was very intelligent.
Yeah.
And I don't know, it's one of those things where I've always kind of liked the idea that Adam, the power is always within him. It doesn't matter. I know they played up in that with the sword,
Mhm.
but he shouldn't have to say the words to unleash the power. He just can't tap into it. Like something's a mental block that's stopping him from doing it. But I felt it weird. So like, oh, or like the fact he's on Earth and they have better meals that makes him this 6 foot tall, muscular dude under this purple shirt, pink shirt, compared to everybody else in Eternia who I guess ate better than he did when he was a kid.
Yeah, the whole Adam dynamic in this movie is another thing that's kind of weird, right? Because in the original cartoon, you can kind of play it one of two ways. The Adam and He-Man are kind of disparate characters in a sense,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Like He-Man has this more mature persona, and then when he goes back to being Adam, he's kind of this freeloading,
That was an
free
act.
loving
Yeah.
thing. And you
That
can look
was
at it as
that was
partially an
Smallville
act to
writing.
protect an identity, but it was also a large part of his personality before he got the power in the first place,
Yeah.
right? He enjoyed his lazy days. He enjoyed hanging out with Cringer. He didn't really want the responsibilities, and that's his dad's main frustration with him, right? And so it becomes easier for him to continue to be the layabout once he's got the responsibility that he's living
Mhm.
up to, that he immediately takes to as his He-Man. Now their tact in this one was both more frustrating and more nuanced. So I kind of had a mixed bag with this one, right? Because he still feels like he's Adam in either form, which is
Yeah.
kind of frustrating coming from the Filmation cartoon where he immediately takes things a lot more seriously when he's He-Man than he does when he's Adam, right? But in some ways, it was kind of interesting to see him grow into understanding the powers and not understanding
Mhm.
how things work
Mhm.
and how things happen here. Because, like, his first change into He Man and his first encounters with that are all done for comic relief. And you could take that as, like, making fun of He Man, or you could take it as somebody who's now gotten these ridiculous powers and has no idea what they're doing.
And
Yeah.
that's what I took
Right.
it as.
And
But
that's how I took it.
mhm.
Yeah.
Can I?
And go ahead. Go right ahead.
There's a difference between, say, Batman and Superman, right? Superman relies on his ability to help him fight. He had no fighting skills or anything. And in the comics, a writer once said, "Hey, he needs to learn this if he's ever going to go beyond being just who he is." So he lost his power, and he went to go to Bruce to be trained. Bruce made him mad, so he threw a punch, hit Bruce, and was like, "Ah!" in his hand. And then Bruce wiped the floor with him. And when he was like, that wouldn't have happened if I had my powers. He goes, it has nothing to do with your powers. It has to do with skill, what your training is. You have no background in a fighting. You are a farm boy. How could you know how to fight? And always having that in the back of my head when I see something like this, where we have a character who, coming from wealth, has always had everything he wanted. His father wants him to be a warrior because all fathers want their sons to be better than what they are and be a warrior. But he didn't have any training. Here's my problem. They sent him to Earth as a small child, did not give us any background of who raised him, how he was raised. Because when you come back to Earth and you have no parents, you have no money, you're going into the foster care system. And you can't grow up living a life of luxury in a foster care system unless you get wealthy parents who adopt you. So his whole mentality and how he faced life up until the point where he got to go home should have been an overriding character arc for him. Now, what we saw was a young man who fantasized about his past, drew figures, trying to hold on to those memories because he didn't want to let them go and have them co-opted by the real world he was living in. And so that affected how he would have been portrayed later on. They went with a specific writing style for him, and they threw out all the realities of the world and just kept him that little young boy all the way just in a man's body. You saw it in his actions and the things he said, how he got upset. How naive do you have to be to tell a date that he told?
Yeah.
You
Well,
know,
And
it's
I think
it,
that was I think you're nailing a lot of what my large problem was
yeah.
with Adam as a character. What they did with him once he started getting the powers and the arc that he kind of went on, I thought was a nice payout. and a nice blend of what they set up earlier in the movie. But there was so much missing from him as a character that he was this HR caricature of a 7-year-old boy.
Boy, yep.
It didn't make any sense, right? From any narrative perspective you wanted to take, he just didn't make sense in a lot of ways. A lot of what he's doing there and a lot of what he's doing in Eternia don't make sense. Like, you don't get to that level of adulthood and walk into rooms the way he does in Eternia and be like, hi, you just, it's not you read the room, right?
Yeah.
Especially being in his background in HR, you learn to read a room.
Mhm.
You
And
learn
he
to
was-
read people. That's your job.
He was the best too. He was like, she told him he was the best employee they had, even though he just spent more time looking at swords. And it's like, he was good at something.
He
But
was personable. He knew how to touch
Right.
people on a human level,
Mhm.
but that did not mean he could take care of himself.
No.
See, there at that point, there was no need for him to have come to Earth. The only reason you would send somebody to Earth in this kind of a scenario, it's allow them to grow, to gain some street level smarts and to grow as a character, so that when he was an adult, how I would have played it out, as he got to an adult, he forgot about it. And he was a man of Earth. He was like, I'm reality.
And then he went to a
And
comic
then
book store and
boom.
saw the statue with the sword, and it clicked a memory in his head. He's like, that's my sword.
Yeah, they didn't need to have
But they
that
didn't.
whole search and being online. He could have
Yeah.
just been having dreams of this past, and he was troubled by it. Maybe he was talking to a psychologist who was trying to help him with it. And then one day he's walking home, and he just feels drawn, and he goes into this comic store, and may I have it more of like on a session where it's not him, something else is drawing him towards it, making him want to pull that sword. King Arthur didn't want to pull the sword. He had to, because he had to give it to his brother. Um, there were so many other ways you could have played that. And I think part of that was, oh, they sent him to Earth in the first one. Let's try that again this time. And that was the worst part of the original movie, was that the whole when they sent him to Earth,
Yeah. And I think part of the problem, I think the reason that was not so much from a writing standpoint is everything has been so marvelized.
Mhm.
And I feel like that was sort of it was sort of a casualty of that, right? Because people expect that kind of stuff in a movie now, or they think they expect it, right? Even when they were doing some of the walks, when they were doing the Born to Be Kings, Masters of the Universe song, they had to have one of them trip.
That one. That
They
was
had to
such
have
a
one of
great
them
surprise.
trip.
Yeah.
And I'm
there's-
like, you could. I had chills when you played the song, and they're walking. Even with the hair flip, I'm still in with it, and that was enough of a joke right there with the hair flip from Fisto, right? I'm like, you could have stopped there, but you had to like break the whole thing with the trip and go full Marvel with it, and
Yeah.
it's like a bridge too far that you didn't need to do.
Yeah, how many
It
times
takes
have
this
we
really
seen that,
cool
like on
moment and steps on it.
Entourage, HBO shows, where
Oh, they
there's
do
a
that.
big, powerful
Well-
moment and one of them trips, but then they right themselves and keep walking.
So,
Yeah.
100%.
they could have took a page out of Captain America: First Avenger. That movie was serious. There was some moments in it that were funny, but it wasn't like something that was out of the ordinary. Steve Rogers being like he wants to be a hero, but he's being beaten up, and okay, kid, you're never going to be in this. But once he became Captain America, going through the Super Soldier program, he became this character, even though he wasn't like
It was all
being
about
by America as somebody that could be an iconic hero, a warrior. And you could have done that kind of thing with this.
Yeah, but
every
even when he's
movie
getting beaten
has a
up in the
moment.
alleyway,
Mhm.
he's still even doing stuff like, oh, I can do this all day,
Yeah,
right? He's like, I can take this beating all day,
But you
which
see,
showed you a lot about his character.
correct.
right, and that's what I said earlier a second ago, character. Everything that happened to him up to that point paid off when he jumped on the grenade.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
showed he had everything everybody else didn't. All those big muscular hero guys who, going to rush in guns blazing, none of them were willing to sacrifice themselves for others. That was what made him Captain America, what made him eligible to be Captain America. And I think made it where it worked, because everybody else who took that serum after in the comics, or it amplified who they were on the inside. So if they were a bigot or a hate monger or whatever, that became a higher part of their personality. Because of who Steve was, it came out in that presentation, and I think that had to be nailed in that movie, or it would have just been another failed Marvel
Which
movie.
is yeah. But I
Yeah.
mean, you could have done that with Masters.
You
Like,
could
I
have
think in
easily.
some sense they did. And
Yeah.
here's why, right? Because we're heavy into spoilers already, so I'm just gonna go there, right?
Yeah.
So you got the whole HR thing where he's kind of focused on talking to people, and you see him do that to limited different levels of success throughout the film, right? Where he's trying to open with talking, they're not working. He takes a bit of a beating. He kills too many people. I wasn't a big fan of that, right? But then you get to the very end where he's kind of having that conversation with Skeletor towards the end of the fight, right? And then it comes down to, he's like, you've got all this and you don't know how to use it. And then it comes down to where he goes, okay, I'm done talking now. It's not that I don't know that I can't use it. It's just that I prefer not to. That sums up a lot of
Yes.
what they wanted, the development from the HR personality of talk first, action last, right? They could have done that a totally different way and it would have worked.
Hmm.
You could have done that a million ways and made it work. HR was a weird take for that, in my opinion, but you still got the payoff at the very end. So it still sort of works, right?
Hmm.
It also that leads into like some of my least favorite scenes in the movie because the pause frames in that look so weirdly CGI and goofy that it kind of pulled me out of the movie a little bit. Uh, they paused it in weird ways, right? Where it felt like they CGI'd it a little bit. I don't
There
know
with
if they
with the
did or not.
transitions. Yeah.
Yeah, some of the pause punches and stuff like that looked weird.
Um, I think the worst villain in the movie though was his HR boss. I'm gonna say this again.
Oh yeah, she was absolutely the worst villain.
Passive aggressive, hey, hate, and it's like, oh my gosh. And then like, but that was one of the things I loved about it. Like when it was in his head and Skeletor was messing with him, and it was like
Yeah.
office HR Skeletor and then Skelebro. That was great.
Okay, I'm
Dude, I
trying
want
not to
subtitles.
give
I need the movie. I need to
so
go ahead.
many leaks away because I'm usually the one doing it, and you guys are just telling some of the funniest
Well,
scenes.
we're in spoilers now. I'm gonna go and say, hey guys, we're in spoilers. So, and then I'll put that out here. Put that in.
We can skirt around some of the moments and talk about
Oh,
them
I know.
without going completely in them because I really want people to come into
Oh,
this
no, exactly.
being surprised and enjoying it and with absolutely no bias. I
Hmm.
mean, and I think what we're trying to do here is describe why we liked it and what we thought could have been made better, but
Yes.
we're not trying to influence anybody.
Mhm.
That should revolve around the person watching it. And I think if you refuse to give it a shot, that says more about you than what's wrong with this or anything that would be possibly wrong with this movie. This
Yeah.
is a good movie, and I need to say that up front because I don't want
Yes.
to.
Oh no, it's a great movie. I loved it. I will put one disclaimer that if you're not big into Masters or you go with somebody who's into Masters that can kind of introduce you to it, you might have a harder time getting into this film than not, right? Because it was clearly made more for people who get the nods for the previous stuff and are into the characters or are at least more curious about the characters and and the world, right? That they've seen a little bit. They've been exposed to some of it, right? Some of the older stuff, not necessarily the Netflix stuff, because a lot of that didn't necessarily work, right? And
Mhm.
that would be, and I could see people not being into it that's their first introduction to it, because that could be a difficult introduction into this type of movie, and it wouldn't match with this movie.
No,
This
not at
movie is
all.
very rooted in the older stuff,
Well, it's
and
we've changed. Society itself has changed. I
yeah,
don't think He-Man could make it today if it was written like it was back then. Uh,
No.
that's why
no,
the date for the 20s was so good because they changed how the characters felt Adam wasn't this little bitty whiny person before becoming He-Man. He was a go-to. He wanted to please his father. He was all about action. It was his body that was his preventing him, not his attitude and not the way he lived. And there were so many elements introduced into the revamp that kind of fell over a little bit in here, but they were still trying to capture that original feel. And I believe that's why some of the language was used, and some of the actions and things. They were trying to
It was an
balance
amalgam
it
of
out from
everything.
nostalgia and
Yeah.
make it entertaining for modern people.
Hmm.
Yeah. No, it definitely needed to change. You couldn't have taken the 1980s cartoon, the first Filmation cartoon,
Mhm.
and translated that into a movie and had that work. That never would have flown. Even this
Oh,
is having a rough time working, and I feel like they've made enough changes to make it connect with more people. It's
oh
still
yes.
very seated in Gen X and Millennial, but I feel like there's enough there that if it's introduced right, like
Yeah.
Zombie's kid and Ty Lord's kid, that they'll get it, right? And they'll get into it.
Hmm.
But it needs to be introduced by somebody who kind of grew up awash in 80s and 90s culture, right? It's not something you're just going to pick up on. Gen Z or Gen Alpha is not just going to pick this up on their own and be like, oh, this is dope. You might have the outlier who does that, but that's not going to be the way the majority of them are going to come to this movie, right?
Well, when word of mouth is the thing that's going to drive sales for this, it's going to be the hype. It's going to be people like us that actually enjoyed it, that tell our friends, tell our coworkers, hey, you need to go see it. It's really good. It's worth your time. Um, because there's a lot of hate mob out there. We already talked about that enough because there are people that are just designed to talk about the bad things and just hate on everything. And then they're going to make the videos of like, oh yeah, so I watched this movie, so you don't have to. And it's like, no, I watched this movie. I enjoyed it. You should go see it. It's really good. It's worth your time.
What's
Yeah.
funny is some of the people that I see that notoriously don't like most modern movies, like Critical Drinker and a bunch of those,
Hmm.
and I like a lot of his takes on things because he brings up some good points, even if I don't always agree with him. He enjoyed the movie.
Wow.
And I that was like a big clincher. I was already going to go see it anyway, but I was like, damn, Drinker liked it? Seriously? Okay, there's something going on here. I'm
Hmm.
probably in for a cool treat, right? When I go see this. And he was not wrong. I mean, and he wasn't even like a Masters. I don't think he was a big Masters fan when he was a kid either. And he got into it. And I'm like, that's great. That means it can potentially reach people who aren't into it. And then there's other people like the film threat people that I watch that are generally more even keeled. Neither one of them were into the cartoon. Neither one of them got into the movie. It was kind of a snooze fest for them. And I'm like, okay, I can get that. And I get those kinds of opinions because those kinds of opinions I feel like are honest, right? You're either going to go into it and you're going to find something you connect to it, whether you were into it or not, or it's just going to be super boring for you and you're just going to watch it for your job, right?
People have
So,
forgotten how to enjoy a popcorn flick. It's either
yeah.
be a masterpiece or it's got to be a trashy horror movie, and there's nothing in between anymore.
Hmm.
Uh,
And I think that's why I've enjoyed this year so much is there's been
There's
a
been some
lot of what I
good
call
ones.
popcorn films. Like Mortal Kombat 2 was a really fun popcorn film. This one was a really fun popcorn film. Um, I
Mando
saw
and
about
Grogu, I thought was a good
I
popcorn
didn't
film.
watch Mandalorian Grogu, but I kind of started tapping out of the series, and the movie wasn't really pulling me, so I just didn't go see it. It just
I
it,
get
it
that.
wasn't grabbing me. No hate on anybody who loves that movie. Love it all you want. It just didn't seem. My wife didn't even want to see it, and I'm like, okay, we're just gonna skip this one, right? But I've seen Project Hail Mary, Backrooms,
oh,
Mortal
Project Hail
Kombat
Mary,
2,
fantastic.
Project Hail Mary.
It's
If you go,
fantastic.
oh God, such an amazing film. Um, Backrooms is solid. I'm not
It
the
is
target
solid,
audience for that, and even I enjoyed it. Um,
and
MK2 was
it's
everything I
playing
wanted out of an
into.
MK movie, and this was killer. You know, it's been a good year for me so far with films.
Hmm.
And we still got a lot to ahead. That's the other problem is if it can last in the theaters long enough to build word of mouth, because we still have so many new movies coming out in July. that are
So
just going to
Yeah.
swallow up
that's
these.
that's what I was talking to Ryan about because he's like, "Do you think this will survive?" He also said because he goes, "I don't know how people are perceiving Supergirl because like the problem too with this movie with MOTU was it had Scary Movie releasing at the same time.
Yeah. I
So
didn't have any interest in that one
I
though.
didn't either.
I love
Um,
those movies, but I don't have any interest in the new one.
And there's no
um,
reason to see that on a big screen. I'm sorry, there isn't.
I agree.
With
yeah,
our big TVs at home and everything, our entertainment centers, that's something you could just as easily watch at home.
because and the movie that's coming out around Supergirl on the 26th is Jackass, the last one, the final movie, which is people will go see that, but I don't think that's going to affect any of the sales for Supergirl. I think the
Toy
problems that are going
Story
to affect,
5.
yeah,
Toy
yeah,
Story 5 will affect it pretty
yeah,
badly.
but it comes out the week after, or the week before, I
It
believe.
does.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think it comes out just before Toy Story 5. I don't have much interest in Supergirl. Um,
Uh,
I've struggled to engage with James Gunn's DC universe as a whole, though. I've tried a lot of the properties. Peacemaker season 1 I really enjoyed. Season 2 was a huge letdown. Creature Commando was was pretty disappointing. Had some high points. I didn't see Superman because nothing he showed me out of the trailers of that drew me to that movie. And it's the same way with Supergirl. Supergirl looks like bargain bin Guardians of the Galaxy to me for some reason. It feels identical. And I hate that because I want these to be special movies, right? I want them to have their own identity. The problem is Gunn makes me feel the same, feel like I'm watching a variant on Guardians most of the time when I watch his stuff now. And
okay,
it's a real
but
bummer.
I gotta say, Gunn is a great director and writer. He understands comedy, he understands tragedy. He can make you feel 100 emotions in a film that most directors can't do. And the fact that Gunn is trying to build a Marvel style universe, nothing like what HBO did before and DC, because they were all disjointed. I'm sorry, there were only certain films that I liked. The rest of it was I could live without. But
most of
it
the
takes
Snyder
time to
movies.
build. It takes time to
Yeah.
build a universe. And he is not going to build a PG universe for DC. That is not him. He wants R, he wants PG, he wants all the different ratings so that anybody can be enjoy and move into the DC universe, which is something that we haven't had in a while for DC. DC became so dark. It was, everything had to be, tragic and violent and, the dark, they put too much of the dark in the Dark Knight.
Yeah,
That was
that was
most of the time
Snyder,
Batman was not
really
Yeah.
any of them.
kind of
Hmm.
rough.
So that's a whole other show, and I'd love to do one
Yeah.
with you where we go on a toe to
Talk
toe
about
on that. But I
Superman. I would say this: Superman is good. You need to see it. Just watch it. Watch it if it's free somewhere, but watch it. It's good.
I might pull it up on HBO Max and watch it
Yeah.
downstairs on my sofa or something like this because I want a slightly bigger screen to watch something that's meant to be like that kind of
yeah,
grand, right?
Superman was
Yeah.
best on the big screen
Screen.
because it was just some beautiful shots made. And
If not just for Guy Gardner and Mr. Terrific, those two characters alone are worth seeing the movie.
I'm not a big Guy Gardner fan.
Yeah, that's
that's
not
not the
much
Green
saying much, I
Lantern I
guess.
wanted, right? I wanted like Hal Jordan or somebody like that, right? Or John Stewart. I wanted one of those. But
the one
that's
thing,
those are the ones I'm used to, right? Not Guy.
the one thing, I'm a Hal Jordan diehard man through and through. But the one thing that I think Gunn is trying not to do is give us more origin films. I don't want to see any more origin films of any character unless it's an original character, because we've all grown up with it. It's in our zeitgeist. We all know what happens. We know where Clark came from, what he is. We know what happened to Bruce. We know every one of these characters through and through multiple iterations of them.
If I have
He's
to see
taking
Uncle
them
Ben
in.
die one more time, I'm going to lose it.
Right.
Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
he's plopping us down in the middle of their life
A pre-existing
as if it
universe.
was,
Yeah.
they've been around. And we're just a day in a life, and then it moving
So
from that point on. The reason why there's a guy is because Earth needs a guardian. Hal's off planet. They haven't even picked Jon Stewart, which is what the Green Lantern series is going to be about, which is their whole goal is to move towards the Justice League formation from the cartoon. That is what everybody seems to focus on. That's what they're going to give us. And so he's setting that up. So we got Guy. He's the secondary guardian from the comics. He was the secondary guardian because Stewart wasn't available in the comics. Stewart was the original second. He wasn't available. They picked Guy. Guy's the worst person you could hand a ring to, but he still got the job done. And it's a big picture thing instead of a bunch of little bitty pictures. And that's what I'm looking forward is this big overarching story that we're going to see characters grow. And I like the fact that he's picking from very important classic comics to create his characters around and the stories, because those are stories that people who casually read comics are going to pick up on before over those who've read comics their entire life.
Yeah.
And so it's all an advertising thing. It's to draw in attention, but he wants to plug and play them into a lived life instead of, oh, we're going to have a character like, what we're talking about, He-Man's origin. Didn't need an origin film. Everybody knows who He-Man is. We could have picked up in a major event happening in there where we changed the entire universe for He-Man, but we didn't. They gave an origin.
Well, there was a reason for that.
I was actually kind of okay with an origin for He-Man because it's been so long since a lot of people have connected with He-Man going into that. I feel was okay. It's not like Batman and Spider-Man where over the last 20 years, you've probably seen them rebooted at least 6 times.
Yeah, we
right?
never really saw He-Man origins.
Yeah.
And
They
that's
did it in.
Oh, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, to their credit, the origin took off in a direction that I didn't even anticipate they were gonna do. I thought it was gonna be, sent to Earth, doesn't remember who he is. And that was quite a flip. That was quite a twist that they did with this movie. And I actually liked it. I liked that he was kind of seen as like this guy with this obsession or obsessions that had no validity to them, even though in the back of his mind, he knew they did. So that was quite a unique twist on it.
Yeah, I honestly didn't even mind. And I know some people, I think, took exception to this, and I don't quite understand why. Tila's role being kind of friend and mentor, kind of continuing on even later in the movie on the Earth section and forward, I thought worked.
I did too.
And I thought that worked perfectly fine. She was probably going to be the person, based off how you're introduced to him in the movie, that he was going to have the easiest connection to. And some other people, I think it was Drinker, that made this point too, that in a lot of ways, they changed Adam to where Adam was our viewpoint into the world. Whereas a lot of times they'll introduce new characters. Like in the X-Men comic in the 90s, it was Jubilee. Jubilee didn't exist until that cartoon. Jubilee was our viewpoint of somebody new.
Jubilee appeared in the comics first. Jubilee appeared in the comics first. Then they introduced her into the cartoon.
But they gave her in the cartoon they gave her Kitty Pryde's story almost than Jubilee's
Pride story.
Yes.
Kitty Pryde's another great character.
After the Siege Perilous in the X-Men comics, when all the X-Men had defeated I can't remember who it was, and they went through this thing, it gave them all new origins, it race changed some of them, sent them out into the world. They have no remembering who they were, leaving X-Men, leaving Wolverine and Jubilee behind. And Jubilee was the one trying to help Logan survive because part of his powers were diminished. And that whole story arc, that's where we get Wolverine hung up by the Marauders on the big X cross, but no, Jubilee was from the comics before the cartoon.
Okay. They still used her as our window into understanding the X-Men. But it's good to know that because I had stopped following comics like long before Jubilee was like introduced. And Jubilee gets weird. When I looked up on Wikipedia, she gets bizarre.
Yeah.
Like super bizarre.
Well, you had
Vampire Jubilee.
Well, you had Dazzler, right? Who was another character who could create sparkles and light shows and everything.
I love Dazzler. I thought she was highly underutilized.
So
Original
then,
80s cartoon.
and then they introduce her as a variant of her, kind of like Jubilee sparkles and lights and everything else. And um, there was a time when they were trying to reintroduce the comics to a younger generation and they didn't realize how to do it. So they kept putting these younger characters in to have them grow up into the character. And they were in through our eyes into this universe. And the same thing that, when Shadowcat, what's her name, Vince? You just said it.
Kitty Pride.
Kitty
Kitty
Pryde.
Pryde was introduced. These guys had, after 94 and they had the first death of an X-Men and all that other stuff, and she was our new reader's view into the X-Men because it was always expose on what she was thinking, what she was seeing, until she became one of the X-Men, and then they kind of went back to the other characters. And
Yeah.
occasionally, when you've got a long-running series, you need to introduce somebody new to act as your doorway into what's going on. And I agree with you on that.
Yeah, and that in that case, I think they did an excellent job with Adam to bring it back full
Yeah,
circle to
yeah.
what we were talking about.
Mhm.
Because I seem to be the king of derails tonight. Not
No.
uncommon, actually.
That happens a lot. Not
Yes.
for all of us.
But
I
I
should
thought
have a
they did a
plaque
good
right
job
here.
of not only making him like the main character, but also sort of this outsider because of how they pulled him out, right? So
Mhm.
he's trying to reintegrate into this world that he's fantasized about his whole life, that he knows he belongs to. He knows he needs to go back to, but he can't find a way back to because he got separated from the tool he needed to be able to get him there, right?
Mhm.
And so when you do start to get back there, you have this whole holy crap, it's all real. This is awesome kind of viewpoint, which goes back to a little bit too much naivete that we talked about earlier, but also that brings in some good ways the sense of wonderment that somebody would have being introduced into this world, this fantastical world,
Well, can
right?
you imagine having somebody justify your entire life that you believe something and everybody told you it was wrong? And then it's there and you find out, that satisfaction of like, I'm not nuts,
Oh
Yes.
yeah.
deal.
Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
Like the nerdy kid from
which is a payout towards
Galaxy
the end.
Quest.
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
yes. Oh my God, yeah.
Dude, did
Mhm.
anybody else get a weird vibe when they're doing the travel thing to Eternia and you're doing all the lights and he's sort of sitting there cackling? And I'm like, I would hate this and I would laugh at it so hard if I found out he woke up and this was some sort of LSD trip he's
Trip.
on.
That would
And
be
his friends are like,
Right.
Yeah,
his
someone
friends are
hit
like, dude, are you okay?
Yeah.
someone laced the sword. He just touched it and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was like, don't do that, please.
Yeah.
Don't dream sequence this.
I guess I was the only one. I guess I was the only one humming the Doctor Who theme
Oh,
song
yeah.
at that
No, I
moment.
totally got
No,
Doctor Who from
I
that.
did.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
You know
My
the funny
son
thing
even
is
pointed that out.
the fact that like how I got with the way Adam was portrayed, and we talked about the fact that like he does seem like he's just an adult child. Like through the
Yes.
movie, like how he just like how he acts. Like, oh, it's like this is so cool. It's like he's going into like a friend's house and they has like all these cool toys on the wall, and they're like, oh, I know this toy, I know this toy. And
Yeah.
but it felt like you could have done this story for Lion-O and Thundercats. Because
Mhm.
Oh
Lion-O,
no,
we
no,
know.
no, no, no! I want Lion.
Actually, it makes more
Stay
sense
the
for
hell out of my
Lion-O.
It would.
Thundercat.
I know. But it would make more sense as
Uh-oh,
Lion-O
Jaga's
because
mad.
but
And if you remember, they kind of did that with the cartoon for like the first two episodes because he was very childlike because he still
Mhm.
had his childlike mind, but now
Yep.
he's a huge adult and he's watching Chitara kind of look at him in a certain way when you go back and watch it. And I'm like,
Yeah.
I think Big did. I think Big did it better.
And
Big.
Adam was like that in the original 80s cartoon. He seemed like he didn't take things seriously, like, he's still kind of growing up, and maybe like He-Man was supposed to be that grown-up version of him where he took things seriously and whatnot. So I thought it worked. Was it a little over the top? I think so, but I think that worked for the character and how he was pulled out of his world, or what he thought was his world, dropped into a new one where he just did not fit in no matter what he did, only to finally go back home where he did kind of, come into his own, or hopefully will.
He found his
Um,
place. That was the
yeah,
thing.
Here's one
'cause
thing I
I
had a
think
problem
they hint
with.
to that pretty well
Go ahead,
towards
go ahead.
the end where he kind of rides off on Battle Cat. I know that doesn't
yes,
introduce any real spoilers, right?
No.
And he looks like
Because
he's
you see it
kind
in
of
the preview.
yeah, he's
Yeah.
kind of come to grips with who and what he is now, right? Like the
Mhm.
arc finally finishes. It takes him way, way, way longer to get there than I think a lot of people might be comfortable with,
But he's still the
but it
kid.
does get
He's
there.
still the kid. Remember,
Yes.
Yeah.
everybody knows who he is. Everybody. But he still needs, oh, he's the Superman. I got to go find me a phone booth.
I loved that, and I
You
loved
know?
their
Yes.
reaction to that. I thought that was great.
So that shows that he's still got that childlike
Oh,
innocent
yes.
way.
Hmm.
Now, one of the things I really was looking forward to, and it was having him transition from, okay, he believes all this stuff. He's now kind of beginning to believe the real world exists, and maybe he has got a problem. Now he's thrown back into the real world that he always thought existed and he idolized. But then the characters are not the same people
That he remembered.
No.
that he
Yeah.
remembered. So there should have been that whole story, don't meet your heroes. There should have been a contrasting moment where he is there and he recognizes he's home, but he has to deal with they're not the people he thought they were.
Well,
You
this is where the thing that could have been if they had Keldor in this story, because he would have known him as his uncle. And then to find out that, like, if he never saw Skeletor, or to see the fact that his uncle came in and was the one who was destroying Eternia,
Right.
he would have like, oh, hey,
Yeah.
it's my uncle. What happened to you? And you could have had that betrayal kind of
Kind
thing.
of
But
like
they,
Simba and Scar.
hmm but they didn't. They didn't play up on that.
Mm-mm.
But I did.
I think they didn't play up on that because I don't think they leaned too much into the 2X, right?
No.
No.
They seem to
No.
downplay a lot of 2X and go for the one that they knew everybody would know, which was the safer bet, right? Which would be the main movie and the filmation, right?
Mhm.
So they lean heavy into those two. And honestly, from a standpoint of trying to get people into the theater and get them into this movie, those are going to be the ones that are going to be the ones that you can almost be like, okay, if you saw He-Man, you saw these, right?
Right.
You
Yeah.
definitely saw these. The 2X you might miss, which is the
Tragedy.
even going, oh God, yes. Like even what little I saw of it was amazing. And then you go back and you read more and learn more of the story arc on it. And you're like, oh my God, why didn't you just finish this?
Mhm.
You
Camp
should
Clark
have
was
finished
He-Man.
this.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
Um,
Adam.
Yep.
Mhm.
So
But
go ahead.
I wonder, like, did y'all notice that there was no title screen? It's at the end of the movie.
It's at the end of the movie.
Yeah.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It just like goes right into. I expected like that scene of going Masters of the Universe, and it was like, where's it set? I know I've seen
wonder-
this.
I think it's because everybody complained about how the 80s version did that in reference to Superman, that they probably maybe wanted to play that safe
Mhm.
and just engross the audience right away, because we've said this before. The newer movie going audience, you have to hook them right away. Otherwise, they're going to lose interest and they're not
Yeah.
gonna sit through it. So
Yeah,
I
no
think
movies have opening titles anymore.
Well, and slow burn movies don't hook you right off.
mm-mm.
Mhm.
Yeah.
They drag you sometimes kicking and screaming into the story. But once they hook you, you're in it. Your reality
Right.
is suspended and you're going along for that ride. And that's one thing
Yeah.
I really enjoy. You don't have to go directly into everything. But what you were talking about, how is in the original Superman, it opens up with them going to Krypton and everything, and it's after that, was it 15 minutes of stuff, we get the Superman and then the opening scroll.
Those are still some of my favorite opening credits. They're
Yeah,
amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, but it's hard to argue with Star Wars, man, as
Yes.
one of the best.
Yeah, the crawl.
Iconic.
Yeah,
It's
Yeah.
crawl's super iconic.
Whereas most audiences would be like, "Can we skip this?" We're like, "Don't you dare!" You know,
Yeah, I
like,
was like, I remember seeing it, people like trying to read it, and it was starting to move a little bit faster and I was like, I wanted to scream at the projection, stop it, put it on
Pause
pause.
it.
But we didn't
Pause
even
it.
know there was such thing as a pause back then.
It's like you
Mhm.
Oh
point the finger.
God help you with Spaceballs then. The
Oh
Spaceballs
yeah.
call
Oh,
so
I know. I love.
long.
if you can see this.
I
Wait,
love it too. It's
wait till we
amazing.
get the new one. I can't wait.
Uh-huh.
God, I want that to be good. I want that to be good so hard,
I'm so
man.
frightened because History of the World Part
Part
Two.
two was
I Oh God, it was such a
Well, and he's like
The search for
99
more
now.
money.
I'm like, your humor worked brilliantly in the time where you did these original films, right? How are you going to translate that into the way things are now, right?
Don't
Mhm.
change it.
Scary Movie kind of made a crack there. I'll give him that. But
Yeah.
it's still, everything I saw seemed kind of playing it safe. And I'm like, you're still kind of playing it safe because you're still nervous. You don't want to
Mhm.
offend people. Comedy sort of inherently offends people. That's the point.
Yeah, that's the whole point of comedy.
Yeah. You have a shitty day at work, you go see a comedian who tells you the realism of it, and you
Mhm.
make fun of it, you make light of it
Yeah,
because you
Yeah.
accept it for what it is.
it
There's no
is.
questioning that.
So, I think that History of the World Part One worked so well was it was a chronological story on top of a comedy.
Hmm.
Whereas the second one was more like a sketch comedy act broken up throughout history. There was no connectivity
All
and
right.
you lost that natural narrative, right?
Well, and when you start telling stories that kind of go back to points that are in the timeline before certain events in your original movie, it's weird. You could have continued where you were left off and told stories from there, but
Yeah,
it
I
just
wanted
was
to
it
I'm
was
gonna get you in trouble here. I wanted to see my Jews in space.
right.
Yep.
But so
Maybe we'll get that with Spaceballs.
hopefully we
I hope
will.
so.
The
Uh,
search for more money.
I want to know what happened to the clan of assholes. I need to know.
Yes.
I'm surrounded by
Assholes. Sir, you think we're taking this too literally? No. We're told to comb the
We're
desert, so we're
combing the
combing it.
desert.
I saw
Find anything.
and I saw one scene where it's like they go back to them and it's like we still haven't found shit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But see,
You
that
know,
also brought up what our concerns were with the He-Man movie, like this fear of are they going to play it safe, or are they just going to tell the story that we've been waiting for at the risk of offending some people, because
Hmm.
that's just bound to happen anyway.
It is.
yeah, you
It,
can't make anything without offending somebody. That's just,
no.
Nope.
it's always been that way, but people always just sort of looked at those people as outliers and strange at one point, and now they've gained so much gravitas and weight that now the effect changes. And I'm like, that's not really how this is supposed to work,
Well,
right?
remember, we didn't have this. We didn't have
No.
streaming. We didn't have any of this stuff. Back in the day, films were successful by word of mouth and, uh, advertising, the proper thing and merchandising.
Yep.
Um,
Merchandise.
uh, but, you know, I just recently was watching, I was scrolling through YouTube and I was watching, and there was a guy who was trying to explain why there was overt racism in Star Wars. I mean, in Spaceballs and Mel Brooks stuff. And he brought up that scene with the comb. And I was like, but back then when that movie was made, that was funny. And people made fun of themselves back then. We knew what humor what
hmm
was.
We weren't afraid to.
Yeah.
Now we're
God,
afraid.
don't let that guy watch Blazing Saddles.
Oh, yes.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
dear Lord.
Where are the white women at? That's funny every time I hear
Yep.
it.
I remember I was watching that on a rerun, and this is when my daughter lived with me. And that scene, well, the white woman at, and I said it just as Cleveland Little said it, and my daughter was in the kitchen. She goes, "Dad," and I was like, "It's in the movie."
Yep. And in Robin Hood Men in Tights, they
Yeah.
make reference to his character, like, yeah, put a black guy in charge. It worked for Blazing Saddles. You know? Fourth wall break, and I laughed my ass
Yeah.
off with it. I was like, yes, you know, because
We've
that's
lost the ability to laugh at ourselves, and I think that's part of the
Mhm.
problem.
Right. Everybody's trying to be too serious, and it's just like have fun.
I don't even know if it's that, in all honesty. I think it's just because somebody has to be offended by something.
True.
And
Yeah.
social media has made it very easy to post
Become
those.
offended.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well,
It's not
So-
really had to-
one, it makes money.
yeah.
Being offended and getting people upset and triggering people makes money, first
Yeah.
off. So it's always going to circle back to cash. I'm very cynical when it
Yeah.
comes to this, right? And secondly, well, some people, not everybody. I don't really consider myself this way, but some people need a cause, right? They just thrive off a cause and enforcing the willpower about this cause
Well, go to
on
a third
other
world
people
country then.
because it gives them
Jeez.
authority and makes them feel morally justified, right? And that's not different than the way it's always been. It's just it's easier for them to gain traction
Yeah,
now
it's
again
easier
because
to
of the way the world works.
a lot of access to that now. Before you have to like go up, look at the letter, the editor, and the newspaper. Like I didn't even read that stuff back then. Now it's just
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
now it's whatever you turn the main page of your browser or anytime you go to your feed, is someone complaining about something.
Yeah.
And it's
It's
like,
true.
and it, like
Yeah.
if they could just spend the time,
Yeah.
I'm going to complain about this, but like, why don't you go help feed the homeless? Why don't you go help
Yeah,
a third world
exactly.
country get food and water and like build
Yeah.
shelters and things? But no,
Well-
we have to complain about the things that
The ridiculousness of it is
Yeah.
that we can't separate the art from the artist. Something can be good, and the guy who created can be what a prick.
Yes.
Mhm.
But and it's so ridiculous. I mean, like you shouldn't go see this movie because the cousin of the neighbor of the brother-in-law of the guy who was running the concession for the food for the actors in this film said that he didn't like something, and boom, that's they jump on it, and that's their
Ugh.
flag they're
I
going to
was your
die on.
sister's brother's cousin and
cousins
second
and, like,
roommates.
former
What does that
roommates.
make us? Nothing.
Absolutely nothing. Which is what you're
There's
going to be.
There was a movie where somebody who was working in, but not in production of the film, who wasn't an actor, wasn't related to it, did something wrong, and they were trying to boycott it because of them. And I was like, I don't think that's how boycotting is supposed to work.
No.
Yeah.
So again, we mentioned that earlier. Do you think that's really what's affecting getting people in these seats, or do you honestly believe that it just really comes down to this is a movie for the fans? This is
Yeah.
this is a movie for just this particular audience.
could be a
I tell you
combination of
what,
both.
Yeah.
No,
I
go
I
tell
for it.
you
think I
what, if
agree.
I
I think it's a
wasn't,
little bit
yeah,
of a mix. I think part of
Yeah.
it is the IP is not very prevalent. It's a
Yes.
very Gen X IP that was honestly went out really early Gen X. So it would have been a very easy thing for you to
Mhm.
miss. You were either too old or too young and you missed it, right? It hits a
Yeah.
nut butter zone where you could very easily miss this IP because its heyday was like 1982, right? That was like the
Mhm.
big heyday outside of the
Mhm.
main movie. And then secondly, you've got enough hints around the movie when it's an early advertisement with the gender change with the race swap
Mhm.
of Man at Arms, the he him on the placard, with enough movies having had too much DEI influence, in my opinion, of changing things for the sake of changing things that made
Mhm.
people nervous about, oh God, you're just going to trash my childhood again and then blame me for it because
Mhm.
that's what you do,
Yes.
Yeah.
right?
Yes.
That people just went, you know what, I'm out before this ever began, right?
Yeah.
So, I think that was it's the biggest hurdle it's going to have to overcome is that
Yeah.
Idris Elba, uh, just give the man a chance in any movie he's in.
Mhm.
Period. Like
Yes.
he's gotten enough goodwill from me in all his movies that I don't give a shit who you have him playing. I'm going to give it a shot. It's kind of like
Yeah.
Samuel L. Jackson, right? He's not the Nick Fury that I know. He is a variant of Nick Fury from the comics, but he's not the one that I'm familiar with. And
Well,
he
he
knocked
did
it out
once
of
they
the
brought him
park.
over. He was so successful in Marvels the Marvel's universe, that he was actually brought in to the mainstream comic,
616.
and then
Mhm.
he became the son of Nick Fury. So that means Nick Fury had a little jungle fever, and he went out and he had a baby. But they
Nothing
still
wrong with
brought
that.
him into the
Yeah, no.
comic. So, and that brings me to
So
another point.
losing an eye is genetic then.
You can't say, well, especially when Wolverine does it to you instead of Cat.
I mean, hey,
Um,
it's out in the Skywalker family. I mean, apparently, like Luke had the same problem his dad did.
Lose an arm.
Yeah.
Damn. Um, and his dad did it to him. That's what's even worse.
Yeah.
But I mean, think about this. We're talking about how that there's generational gaps. Four non-blonde, whoever created the four non-blondes with the He-Man singing,
Oh
yeah, yeah,
gosh.
yeah. Man, that shows you that this thing has transcended generations
Yeah.
because it wouldn't have been funny and caught on if it hadn't.
I just hate that song.
Um, but every time we reintroduce an old IP, there's a risk. You have to have some nostalgia. You have to have something interesting enough, a gotcha, and you have to make it accessible to a generation who's never seen it. And if you go too far in either way, if you cannot find that magic balance, you put your project at risk. And I think every movie does that that is based on an IP. To be honest, I'd rather not see so many movies on IPs. Let them rest for a while. Let them build up their nostalgia again. Give us some new characters. There's tons of new stuff out there that needs and screams to be made. But we're focused on what IPs that we think we know are going to make us money. And the way the everything is rigged now, you can make money by having a failure. And you got to ask how many of these films are intentionally done just so they can collect on insurance and other things, or to
Yeah.
get a write-off because they made so much money in another area and they don't want to pay taxes for it.
Like what Yul Uwe Boll does.
Yeah,
Which goes back to Mel Brooks with producers.
Yeah.
I love his
Actually, I thought
Okay.
producers was fun.
Oh, yeah.
I love that movie.
But
Who's your
I,
favorite? Who's your, oh, he got me off on a tangent. Who's your favorite Balastov?
oh God, it's been so long since I saw producers. I don't think I can answer that question. I'll be honest. I
Uh,
just remember Springtime and Hitler, Springtime for Hitler, and Uma Thurman like killing it in her role in the movie.
Okay,
Part
so
of that, I didn't see the Broadway play, which I kind of wish I had.
I like the original with Gene Wilder and all the older comedic actors that a lot of them had worked with Mel Brooks. But I really liked the remake. Um,
With Nathan Lane and Matthew Broderick.
yeah, yeah, but he popped Uma Thurman up, and I've got that whole scene with the painting of the room and the skirt. And, thanks for bringing that into my head.
Okay.
You're welcome.
So
We're going into dangerous territory here.
Right. But I want to do a final question and we can wrap up. All right. So favorite part in the movie, guys.
Gwildor wasn't in it.
He had a little cameo on the credits, right?
Yeah, he did have a
He had
cameo on the credits.
Yeah.
I love Billy Barty, but man, I was like,
Yeah.
Yes.
there's gonna be a riot if he shows up in this film.
Yeah.
I think mine had to be like Skeletor's evil monologue, ending up with him raising his fist and going, "That's the crescendo. That's when you cue in. Come on!" And that's when I was like, "Oh no, he's gonna nail it in this movie," because that was like his first big speech.
Yes.
And that's what totally sold me on the movie. I'm like, yes, I have found
Yeah.
we found the role that Jared Leto was born to play, and I'm here for it. I'm all in. Let's go.
Yeah.
Yep.
And it was a great contrast to He-Man's moment that was similar to that.
Yes.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Well, like you were saying, definitely the because you see when He-Man first, or when Adam first raises up the sword, you get the chills and you feel emotional. Like, all right, He-Man's finally gonna kick some ass because he's been kind of like a weenie through the first part, and then he still kind of retains some of that silly goofball as He-Man, but it made sense for the movie.
His
But just when he
weeniness.
first gets his power, and he tries to talk it out with Trapjaw, just like he would do in the cartoon. And then, like you say, he has all this power, but he doesn't know what to do with it. I thought that worked pretty good. Like, I still deep down, I wanted to see him like change his personality too. Like all of a sudden, he's going to be super smart and kind of like the old style Superman, not the new one. The new Superman's a clown like this guy is, but I mean, it worked well for the movie. I just love that transformation. Also, a couple of the throwbacks to the '87 movie just like really warmed my heart, and I really liked Evelyn too. Like her little relationship with Skeletor, they sort of kept it like the '87 movie,
We
where
did not
like
talk
you could,
enough about her. She killed
yeah,
it too.
yeah, she was. You could
But
tell
she should have been the smartest person in the room. Evelyn was always
yeah,
Yes.
She really
yeah,
was
in the room.
always the
yeah,
smartest person in the
Mhm.
room.
yeah,
Hmm.
And
yeah. You could tell. Like she's in there for the power. So she's in it for herself, but she just attached to this guy because he's so powerful. And it almost is like she kind of like gets off on his power. I don't know if that was
Yeah.
just me,
Yeah,
but like
she does.
There was a
she's in
weird
like an
scene, not to go
abusive.
too much into
Yeah,
spoilers, but where
yeah,
he's like choking her because he's
yeah,
angry at her,
yeah,
and she's a little too enthusiastic
Oh,
yeah.
yeah,
about
she
about
was
it.
choking, and I'm
Yeah.
definitely
like,
into that.
Yeah.
She's
Yeah,
all
she was
about it.
definitely into
It's
that.
like
Yeah.
she's in an abusive relationship, but she likes it because she wants that power or something deep down. But I thought she was a good character, and of course, like yeah, Duncan. Like I don't think anyone is as cool as Idris Elba to play Duncan like that.
Hmm.
I mean, even though he was kind of a drunk, but I mean he redeemed himself at the end, and and I thought Tila was pretty cute too. Like I was afraid they were gonna do the whole girl boss thing, and
Yeah.
but I mean she was very likable.
they walked
She
that
looked good
line
up
really
the
well with
end. With
her.
the end when we see Tila at the end, oh my God, woo! She looked just like the
Oh, in her
cartoon.
classic outfit? Yes.
Yeah,
Oh,
Yes.
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 yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, just seeing all those characters, especially Trapjaw, man. Like when you see Trapjaw on in the movie, like man, that's how I've always wanted to see in a movie like Trapjaw. He's like the coolest design
He
for a
kicked
character.
ass.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Dude,
yeah,
my biggest problem with Chapter is
yeah,
everybody else looked like they went to the gym, and it's like they put him on a diet to strip him down to nothing. I'm
yeah.
like, because I'm looking at him, I'm like, dude, what happened to your pecs? Like, you don't,
Oh yeah,
there's nothing
Yeah.
here. What
yeah,
happened? Like, I love the character. I think they
yeah,
still did him in an awesome
yeah,
way. I like the transformation of the
yeah,
arm and everything like that.
yeah,
He still is great, but I'm like,
yeah,
dude, what the
yeah,
hell, man?
yeah.
I
Are
thought
you
he was
okay?
fantastic. I really,
Also,
Oh,
well,
yeah.
you didn't see
His
him as much, but the Cyclops or Triclops looked pretty cool too.
Triclops.
Triclops.
I saw the
Yeah.
Yes.
action figure of him at the store. It's really cool looking.
It
The
is.
Triclops, yeah, yeah,
He
see,
was
I
he
was
was the one
disappointed in
D.
him because they didn't utilize him
yeah,
correctly.
Yeah, I was
yeah,
disappointed. One, that they didn't utilize him at
yeah,
hardly at all,
yeah,
and two,
That
he was the one race swap that I was like,
yeah,
but why? It doesn't
yeah,
bring anything.
yeah.
The guy barely gets a chance to act and had no purpose
Yeah,
to
that's
race
the kind of
change him at
point of
all.
yeah,
don't even
So
get me
what? Why did you
started
do it?
about who's
yeah,
They could have, they
underutilized.
could have had
yeah,
what mini faces in it too, but like
Oh yeah, that would have
yeah,
been a great.
That would have been awesome.
yeah.
Well, I had already told
Oh,
Vince
how
that when
funny
they
would it?
were
Yeah, I'll go ahead.
uh, uh, trying to get back to Snake, well, originally they were trying to go to Eternia, and then they decided to go to Snake Mountain.
Yeah,
And I was like, okay, there's a whole lot of terrain here. You could give us a whole 30-minute, 20 minutes of them traveling, maybe running into Merman,
yeah,
seeing Stratos and his people flying over. Just use your background to give you a little bit more of a world building
yeah.
moment.
That would have stretched
And
it out. The movie out a lot longer, but that would have been awesome. Like you say, a little
hmm
adventure to go on to meet more of the peoples of the lore. Yeah,
I think the concern with
yeah,
that, and I think why they didn't do that is probably because they were already pretty high on budget for this film.
yeah.
They already had like 200 million or more in this film
Hmm.
by the time they got done. If you'd added that, you probably would have added like another 100 million into it.
Hmm.
Um, and it's already struggling as is. So it's probably best they didn't do that, as much as I personally agree with you, because I would have loved to have seen that.
cut out the
And they
salary
did
for some
hint
of
at
the
Stratos
characters
towards
that
the end of the
didn't need to
movie.
be in
Yeah,
it.
Yes, they did. Yeah, which was great. I was like,
yeah,
yes. Roboto was great.
Oh yeah, I forgot to
I was a
mention.
little
Yeah.
concerned with the race swap on that.
Yeah,
I thought
yeah,
Kirsten Wiig did a
That was a
pretty good
gender
job
swap.
there.
It
yeah,
was a
gender
gender.
swap.
It was a
Yeah,
Gender
I'm sorry,
swap.
gender swap. I didn't necessarily love the gender swap, and Kirsten Wiig is another one I'm getting kind of tired of because I felt like she played this a little bit too close to the robot she played in Solo.
oh
Oh,
God, yeah,
yeah.
It was a little bit too familiar to that. It worked. Don't
yeah,
get me wrong. They
But she did. At
made
least
it
she
work
did.
overall.
She wasn't like that condescending though, like she was in
yeah.
Solo.
No. But there were hints of it, like where he puts the module back in, and he goes,
Yeah.
"Remember, you promised not to kill me." And she goes, "No promises." I'm like, "See, that it's a little too close
Yeah.
there for me, but okay."
Well, the thing I
Yeah.
thought that is because he's not a robot, or I mean, she's not a robot now, you know, and the fact that he did her dirty for so long
Mhm.
and hid
He
that,
made her a janitor.
you
Yeah.
know, and have you have never made a promise before
Yeah.
if you promise not to kill me, I'll give you this back, and then when you get it back and you find out what they did, you're like, oh no, that promise isn't going to count. I have to break a finger. I'm sorry.
Mhm.
You got to be some payback. That was a little bit too
Head or
much.
gut. Head or gut.
Head or
Death.
gut. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a great movie, by the way. Last Boy Scout,
Yes.
great
Oh,
movie.
I love
Yes.
that movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and a buddy
Yeah.
of mine. Well, it was three of us. We used to do that after that movie when
Yeah.
we did something that made somebody mad, head or gut. And I remember one time I wasn't expecting it. I kind of brushed a friend of mine off, and I was doing something, and I come back and he goes head or gut, and I go what? Boom! Hit me right. He goes gut. It is. And I was like, oh, you.
Yeah.
That and because he was in the chicken, that's the other thing that sticks up. That joke is
But
You
yeah,
know.
I guess to wrap things up, final thoughts, go see the movie.
yeah,
Yes.
If you
yeah.
have any interest or history with Masters at all, if you
Mhm,
know anybody who's enjoyed Masters, let them take you to this film. Go into it as a fun popcorn ride film.
mhm.
It's good to see those coming back. I would like to see this movie get more support. I think we're probably going to get another one anyway. Amazon seems pretty happy with it, but
Yeah.
I would still like to see it make more of its budget back.
Yeah, I do too. Like as of yesterday, when I was looking, it's only made 65 million worldwide,
Yeah,
and it
On a
could make
budget
total.
of
The budget
Over
was
150 or so.
over
yeah, it was like
200 million. It's like 220, 250, something like that.
mhm. I mean, it's made more than the original MOTU movie. That you know,
yeah, the original MOTU movie cost a whole lot less too.
yeah,
Wow.
Yeah.
And to get
20
that
million,
movie
20
finished,
million for 20 million for the budget, and then 12
Yeah.
million for the box office return.
um, I'm gonna say this is a good movie. It doesn't matter what the property is.
Yeah.
It's a fun movie. If you've been wondering to have, if you got children, you want a movie that you can go see with them, where everybody will enjoy it. This is one of those movies. And if we want to see more of them, you need to patronize them. You need to go see them. You need to return money to the studio so they have the funds to continue making movies like this. Because if not, we're going to continue to get the garbage that we get. And this movie will stand on its own two legs if you give it a chance. Don't listen to the people, the naysayers, the ones who are bad mouthing it. They have their own agenda. Decide for yourself if this is a movie you want, and then spread that word. Maybe, hopefully, we can keep it in theaters a little bit longer, and maybe it'll make the money back.
Then Mortal Kombat 2.
Because I didn't get to see that. I didn't get to see Mortal
Yeah,
Kombat.
Mortal Kombat 2 got
It was
pulled
gone
quick.
within 3
Mortal
weeks.
Oh
Kombat 2
no.
was I really enjoyed it.
Mhm,
I'll be honest, I really enjoyed it.
mhm.
It's what I wanted the first one to be. Well, the first one's not. Well, okay, the first one out of the reboot. Let's be clear.
Right.
What isn't a bad movie? It's just not the movie that I wanted out
Yeah.
of a Mortal Kombat movie. And the
No,
second one fixes all of that.
yeah, it almost feels like a remake of that old movie we like from the 90s.
Oh
You know,
God, I still watch that movie. That's an
yeah,
amazing film.
it almost feels like a spiritual successor to that, don't you
Yeah.
think? Yeah, yeah,
Um,
yeah,
so let me see.
yeah.
Star Lord, your little message for anybody to encourage them to go see the movie, or
Oh yes, I'm probably not the best person to give advice because I'm obsessed with the Masters of the Universe, and I was going to see it either ways, and I already was I was just hoping for the best, and thankfully I got it. Like it didn't disappoint me. So if you're a Masters of the Universe fan, I really and you're kind of on the fence about it, I would definitely recommend going to see it because I'm very cynical about stuff like that. And this is my thing. It's not like it's Star Wars, which I've given up on. Like I don't even go see a lot of DC or Marvels. Like He-Man's my thing, and I really wanted it to be good. And I was probably hyping myself up too much, but man, I put my hope in the right spot. I'm glad I went to see the movie. I'm glad I got to take my whole family. Everyone loved it. Yeah. So if you're a Masters of the Universe fan, you haven't seen it, go see it.
Zombie.
I would agree 100%. If you are a MOTU fan, definitely get out and see it.
Mhm.
I loved every second of it. And for somebody who really only goes to theaters now to see the latest horror sci-fi films, I was really pleased by what they did. I will say, as a Beastman and Stratos fan, I was heavily disappointed.
Oh, I love Beastman. I was so happy
I,
he was in there.
I felt like
That's
they downplayed his powers in the movie too much. It was a little bit of a bummer for me.
yes,
He wasn't even supposed to be in it originally. They said he was not one of the characters, so when he was there, that was a bit of a big
Yeah.
surprise.
yeah, and I thought he had a great start, and then he just falls off the wayside.
Yeah.
I thought he
So
shouldn't have lost him on the bridge, like him losing their scent. I'm like, that doesn't make sense to me. Not for Beastman.
Yeah.
Oh,
That
what?
was that
Okay,
threw me off with him
wait
a
a minute.
little bit.
Okay, hold on. We're not done yet, folks. We thought we were done.
Sorry,
Exhaust.
sorry.
Wait a minute. Wait a minute. Exhaust oil,
Yeah.
all the chemicals that are in the air. None of the stuff that Eternia has. Our air is so polluted.
Oh, nice.
Even the hounds that are designed to hunt for criminals have a
Yeah.
hard time getting through all the scents that we've polluted our air with. So it's logical that he's like
Wow.
trying to figure out how to focus back. And he probably hadn't smelled Adam, so he was focusing on Tila, you know.
Wow, good.
So
Yeah, good play, Floyd. That was a good save there. Yeah.
it still doesn't
It was.
justify that he doesn't come back
Yeah.
at the end. It's like they just
No.
left
oh no,
him
no, yeah.
there, and then that's
Well, they
it.
sent him off to go find him, and that was the
Uh,
last thing we
Hold on,
saw.
wait.
yeah, I don't think we ever saw him again, huh?
I know
Yeah.
what they did. I know what they did. They pulled a Transformers Michael Bay movie where they all crash land on a planet with no way to get off to go get this cube.
Yeah.
That's what it was. You know,
Well,
they sent him here to.
well, Hordak better free his ass in the second movie is all I'm gonna
Mhm.
say on
Did
that.
did
And
did we just compare this fantastic movie
I
that
well,
friggin'
it's
Michael
the only thing
Bay
I can
came
think
out
of.
before?
Why did he show back up? Because I mean, he could have been the
Maybe he
thing
got
that
smart and
turned
he
the
said,
tide.
"I ain't
Well,
working for this dude anymore.
yeah, because
maybe.
he was
Start
doing the
my own
deal.
franchise."
Yeah.
He fell into an ice cream truck and he's like, "Man, this is really good." Then he got addicted to the food.
Yeah.
And not having my boy Stratos, I mean,
I know.
that he's always been my favorite character. I
Mhm.
mean,
I thought he was a confusing omission. Out of all the main characters you
Yeah.
could have brought in, you brought in Roboto, but you didn't
This.
bring in
Yeah.
Stratos.
Right.
Well, none
Stratos
of the
and
made more
characters
sense
they
to
brought
introduce
in,
early on than Roboto to me.
and
all
I'll
of
But
them
say
were. None of the core characters were in this.
yeah,
Ram,
it was kind of
I
weird.
mean Fisto, because he fists.
yes,
Was
that joke was great.
a character who came in later. Ram
Yes.
came in later. He was
Clam Champ.
earlier
I mean, it was
than
could
Fisto.
have been in
Keep
this.
I like saying that name.
Neck and neck.
And
Mechaneck was there.
Mechaneck. You know,
Mhm.
there were other
Buzz
characters
off
that
wasn't
should have
there.
been
Buzz
in.
off,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Jitsu.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
I mean, some of those I understand why they didn't use him. Like
Whiplash.
Buzz Off,
Yeah.
I could see why you might not use him. He's his race and Stratos' race are kind of linked together, so maybe that makes
Yeah.
more sense why they didn't use Stratos. Now they
Yeah.
might not have put this much thought into it either. They might have been like, okay, what'll look good on scene?
That's
What'll
exactly
look
what it was.
what'll look
Yeah.
funny when we do fights? Because I think that's why Spikor was there,
Yeah.
Oh my
right?
gosh, there was some. Yeah.
And I don't feel like that's
Yeah.
giving anything away because they show him in the trailers too, right?
Yeah.
But I
Yes.
Mhm.
thought he was a weird pick until I saw how they were trying to do the fight scenes, and I go, "This makes more sense why you made him a little bit more main than some of the
Mhm.
other henchmen that I think probably would have
Yeah.
Yeah.
been my picks here." but
I
okay.
mean,
deep
But did
cuts, too.
anybody else?
Mhm.
I don't want to give the scene away, but you'll know
We're not
when he
done.
throws a certain character up into the air, the ceiling. Did you not miss Arnold Schwarzenegger going "stick around"?
Yeah,
Stick around.
I
we didn't
missed
have the
that
Yes.
one-liners.
line. That's
Yes.
great,
Yes.
though.
Yeah.
But other than that, I did enjoy it.
Pin cushion.
I enjoyed what they gave us. Love the cameos, of course. I was cheering when that happened.
Yeah.
I told my roommate, I said, I'm gonna be heavily disappointed if Skeletor is sitting there and doesn't go, "You boob."
Yes.
So I was cheering, and then of course, yes, the ending does give my hopes that we will see the bird people, but
Yeah.
overall I liked it for what it was. My
Yeah.
son enjoyed it, who doesn't have a connection to the franchise whatsoever, but it has now sparked an interest in it. So
Mhm.
if you didn't grow up with it, give it a chance. I find it interesting that He-Man was one of those IPs that even before She-Ra got into the picture, I knew a lot of girls who liked it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if that's really what this is all about, go out there and see it either way, because there is going to be
My
something you
wife
do
was
like.
thrilled with it, and she was more of a She-Ra person, honestly, than she
Mhm.
was a He-Man, and she was having a blast through the whole movie.
Yeah, it's really it's an entertaining ride. It really is.
Mhm.
So, you know,
The only thing I want to say is go watch it in theaters. It deserves to be watched in theaters. Take your kids, and that this is a relaunch of the Masters of the Universe franchise. Mattel is really banking on the success for this outside of what Amazon's doing to relaunch the franchise. So
Mhm.
we may get cartoons from this, and we definitely going to get some more cinematic movies. Hopefully, She-Ra. For those that have heard the spoilers or seen it online, my wife's sitting there going yes because she wants that to happen.
Yeah.
But I still need to go take her to see it.
Yeah.
And while you're at it, go broke getting the popcorn containers.
You can't even
Hey.
find them anymore. I mean,
Yeah,
try to
there was
find
some-
stuff on the.
We got the
secondary
Skeletor
market.
one, and
I
we
got
couldn't have been
the-
happier when we got it home and realized his eyes light up. We were like,
Oh,
"What?
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Oh yeah,
What?
I want
yeah.
That's
I want
awesome.
that I want that throne. That one is such an awesome
Yeah, the
piece.
throne is tight. That one was at the theater.
Oh, we
man,
just
my wife
got the
is gonna get
Skeletor
pissed if
head
I buy
one.
it.
Yeah, you
Oh,
got the
You
head
got
one.
the head bucket.
Oh,
Yeah, we got the
okay.
head bucket.
Yeah,
No, I got the Castle Grayskull. You can't see it in the
with the
video,
cup
sadly.
that comes
Yeah.
off. Yeah,
But,
I wanted that.
No, that one's cool. That one's really practical. The He-Man sword one apparently
That's
sold
the
out
one.
really quick.
I got two of those.
I got it ordered, and
Yep. Thank you, Vince, for that, because
yeah,
that was what I was really aiming for.
let me look around. I might be able to find it for you geeks.
Um,
If not,
I
a
would say
friend
if you
of
find
mine
another one,
probably
I'll buy
got
it.
some on-
Okay.
but the one where it's Skeletor on his throne and
Yeah.
He-Man's walking up the
Yeah.
stairs.
Yeah,
that
with
one
the
is
flames.
So,
That
yes,
is so
that is
cool.
so cool.
That was another one I was hoping the eyes would light up on for Skeletor. The flames light up and then the eyes, because it only works if you see it in the dark, kind of, and a
Mhm.
light is minimized, and those eyes would pop from the hood, and that would have been a fantastic one. Me, when I went to see it, I got what's his name on his bike? Um,
Jared Leto from Ares.
no, from Supergirl. Everything was
Oh,
Supergirl.
Lobo. Okay.
Lobo, and I was
Oh,
like,
that's cool.
so it was okay. I mean, the bike is kind of small, and it's called a popcorn bucket, but it's like having a small coffee cup worth of popcorn. I'm like, no, I eat a lot more popcorn than
Yeah.
that, so
Yeah.
I need a bigger bucket.
And Oaz went and saw it 3 times, and he's already
Yeah.
he has the Battle Cat popcorn bucket.
I
That
thought you
one
were
looked
That's
gonna.
cool.
neat.
See that
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
As a side tangent on popcorn buckets, a buddy of mine got me the Mortal Kombat 2 Shao Kahn popcorn bucket.
Nice.
And
I've
that one's
seen that
really
one.
basic, but that one's cool because it's like a metal bucket that the helmet sits on top of. And then you pop up on the top of the helmet and you eat the popcorn out of there. And I'm like, dude, it's like you're eating Shao Kahn's brains.
Yes, yes.
Chilled
Yeah.
monkey brains.
Shield.
Yeah.
That's why I can't wait till the swords come in, because I'm gonna use that bad boy at work.
Yeah.
I'm gonna fill that up and use it every freaking day. I even got the it's a chrome stein of Castle Grayskull.
Yeah,
Oh,
I
I
got
did see
Nice.
those.
I got that one too, and
I
I'm gonna
want
have that on display.
I want the pint glasses. The
Hmm.
There was a one if you went through Fandango, you paid $50. You got a movie ticket and you got two pint glasses, one of Skeletor, one of He-Man. They look
He-Man.
really good.
Yep.
See, it's good that they're doing stuff like that. I miss them doing things like that. Like, and this is going to go back down memory lane. Does anybody remember like the old Hardee's and Burger King glasses, the
Oh,
Oh
round
yeah.
ones
Yeah,
Oh
they're
yeah.
nice.
that
Yeah.
would tie into movies and stuff like
Yeah.
I'll tell
that?
you how old I am. Did, I had all of the 1975 King Kong glasses from the
Nice.
remake. I would
Wow.
walk to Macrelis Mall and I watched movies. On my way home, I went by a Burger King and they had them, and I made sure I picked up one
Wow.
every day because I didn't want to have to carry them all home because it was like
Yeah.
a
Right.
mile walk for me. And I was like,
Yeah.
if I drop one of these, I'm gonna be upset.
Yeah.
And I remember I
Course for
brought them home and I
99
pulled them
cents.
out and I set them up, and uh, when there would be no clean dishes, my brothers would want to come in my room and try to grab one and use as a drink, and I was like, no, those aren't they're not for drinking.
They
They're glass,
belong in a
they're not for
museum.
drinking. And my
Yes.
dad was
Right.
like, boy, let him use one of the glasses. I said, no, Dad, no, they're not for drinking. He goes, then why are they glasses? And I was like, quit trying to be logical in this moment. You know, it's mine, my
Hmm.
Chill
precious.
out, Dad. Chill out. Well, we had the Return
Yep.
of the Jedi ones back in the day too.
Oh yeah, and the
Those are
Batman,
cool.
Yep. The Batman
the coffee
glasses.
mug Batman glasses, and then the other
Mhm.
ones. Yeah.
I still have the puppets from Pizza Hut whenever they would do those kind of tie-ins, the ones that cut your hand trying to use them.
Use them.
Yeah.
Oh
Oh,
yeah.
right.
I
Land Before
have
Time.
I have the
Yeah.
Casper ones in the other room, and
Hmm.
then I had all the ones from what was the dinosaur one?
Land Before Time.
Land
Land
Before
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 Time.
Time.
Yep.
Time on
And
Yep.
Blu-ray.
Eureka's Castle. I got those
Oh,
still.
right.
But we met into a family who was, uh, they weren't really doing so great, and the kids had nothing, so I gave them a bunch of that kind of stuff. I didn't
That's
think
cool
about them
though.
having a future, in
Yep.
my house because they're just going to sit and collect dust.
Yeah. Why hoard when you can give it to someone who needs it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And while you're at it, go to your local store because all the cool merchandise that's
Yeah.
The
on the shelves.
Right.
merchandising.
Oh, I can't see it.
And the merchandise as I disappear into the background.
Yeah.
Sorry.
There you
Yeah.
go.
Yep.
I don't know if you can see it, but yeah, I jumped on the sale at Target. So
Oh, red. Yeah.
Yeah.
my
Um,
kiddo convinced me on getting the
Yeah.
because I was talking to Vince about this earlier before the show. I was like, what are your thoughts on the classics line that they're doing with the movie portrayals versus the other line that they're doing? And of course, naturally, you want to get the figure that can do all the cool posing and stuff.
Yeah.
But my son looked at these and he goes, Dad, you have to get the ones like the toys we played with because that's just going to be more
Classics.
fun.
Yeah.
So I was like, all right, got the classics. And then, of course, had to get the sword. So,
you could, you
Honestly,
But you didn't
honestly,
get you didn't get the flamethrower.
nope,
All the kids are going
Uh,
for is the
it wasn't
Matt
on
calls
store
the
shelves.
flamethrower.
Mac wants the
the kids love
flamethrower.
this one.
The
No.
kids
I'll
love
be
this
honest. So
one.
that was one of the coolest things about He-Man growing up, as we're wrapping up here, is the toys, like the
Mhm.
Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle toys and stuff like that. Which were basically the same mold, right? Were
Mhm.
very playable,
Yeah.
right? They're great play toys.
Yeah. They're
Yes.
very durable. They don't have super amount of articulation, but with it works good.
We didn't
Yeah.
care
Yeah.
about that as a
Yeah.
kid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
Just like
It
we
was
didn't know
fun.
what the hell
Yeah.
blast processing was when we were buying the
Yeah.
Genesis. It just sounded cool.
Yep. Marketing PR. Well,
Leo, where are you going? Going to get score me some steroids. I'm like, I remember looking at those toys and I was like, he's not gonna like these because they look like somebody, on steroids pumping out, And then
I've
the
come
minute he
here.
finds them, I was like, damn.
Um, well, I want to end this with doing a Skeletor voice, but I'll end it at the end of this. But well, everyone, we hope
Remember,
remember
Next, till we meet again.
Next
Yo,
episode,
bum.
we will be talking about something, but today we talked about Masters of the Universe, my arch enemy, He-Man.
Yo,
We hope you
bum,
enjoyed this
Randor.
episode,
Yeah.
but until we meet again, there you go.
Yeah.
Now we gotta end on a good journey.
Oh yeah. Oh, we didn't even talk. Oh no, I'm not going to talk about it. Yep. Keep that a
And
secret.
good journey.
What? No moral message at the end of the episode?
Right, I was-
I
I
feel
was thinking-
cheated.
I was trying to
Today's
think of the moral
podcast.
episode.
I know kung fu. No, you don't.